Chapter 843. Long Yu's entire body was enveloped in the 9 underworld heavenly light. His figure, which had been rapidly being pulled towards the spatial fissure, suddenly stopped. He even loosened his grip and began to fly back. Immediately after, he formed 6 primordial shadows and had them continuously condense 9 underworld heavenly light to protect him as he retreated. He began to slowly fly back. Although the continuous use of the primordial shadows and the 9 underworld heavenly light consumed a terrifying amount of energy, he was still able to escape the suction force of the spatial fissure. At the same time, he once again activated the ancient dragon skeleton tower's absolute space domain, enveloping all the great emperors within it so that none of them could use the power of the spatial divine glyphs to escape. They couldn't even teleport a little distance away. These great emperors had already endured the suction force of the spatial tears. When they saw Long Yu leisurely change directions, they immediately panicked. Ha ha, ha. They were mighty great emperors, but they could not resist the suction force of the spatial fissure, and were all sucked towards it. Although they were powerful and the speed at which they were being sucked was not fast, the closer they got to the spatial fissure, the faster they were being sucked in. Many of them attacked Long Yu's 9 underworld heavenly light in a frenzy. Countless divine glyphs attacked Long Yu. They wanted to kill Long Yu and destroy the absolute space domain that enveloped them. However, to their despair, they discovered that in this place, even the divine abilities and martial skills they released were actually sucked in by the spatial cracks, unable to reach Long Yu's body. Who would have thought that Long Yu had such a trick up his sleeve? The remaining 46 great emperors of the Taiwu Empire had been completely tricked by Long Yu. Of course, Long Yu was not having it easy either. If everything went according to plan, he would need to continuously use the 9 underworld heavenly light to escape the suction force of the spatial fissure. He would probably have to use up all the beast crystals he had left. This undoubtedly put him in a more dangerous situation. Without beast crystals to replenish his energy, he would not even be able to defeat the Emperor Realm cultivators that he had previously defeated. However, Long Yu had no other choice. He could only use the 9 underworld heavenly light to seal off the spatial divine glyphs to escape from this place. He moved faster and faster away from the spatial rift. As for the 40+ emperors, they were all pulled closer and closer to the spatial rift. At this moment, the absolute space domain no longer had any effect on them. One by one, they began to use spatial divine runes in an attempt to teleport away. However, they discovered that the power of their spatial divine runes had become extremely weak at such a close distance. They were unable to leave the range of the spatial rift. Long Yu returned to the ruins. He turned his head back and saw the group of Emperor Realm cultivators being devoured by the spatial tears. They disappeared from his sight, completely annihilated. Long Yu was shrouded in the pitch-black 9th nether heavenly light as he walked towards the palace. But at this moment, he discovered that there was another group of 10 Emperor Realm experts in front of him. This group of Emperor Realm experts weren't very strong. All of them were early-stage and mid-stage Emperor Realm experts. One of them looked like Situliuli to Long Yu. He guessed that this person was the city lord of the desolate god city in the Shinluo Empire and also Situliuli's father, Situ Kong. They're from the Shinluo Empire. Long Yu's heart skipped a beat, but he wasn't worried. Instead, the corners of his lips curled up slightly. He had already dealt with more than 50 great emperors from the Taiwu Empire. How could he not deal with these great emperors from the Shinluo Empire? Suddenly, the 9 serenities' heavenly light split into 18 parts and flew towards the 18 entrances of the palace. Each part of the 9 serenities' heavenly light represented a primordial shadow of Long Yu. Now that Long Yu had stepped into the mid-stage king stage, he could, of course, condense primordial shadows as many times as he wanted as long as he had enough energy in his body. He flew in 18 different directions, but there were only 11 great emperors from the Shinluo Empire. The great emperors from the Shenluo Empire originally wanted to intercept Long Yu when they saw him flying back. But when they saw Long Yu fleeing in 18 different directions, their expressions changed slightly. Split up, don't let anyone escape. The Prime Minister of the Shenluo Empire, an old man with white hair and beard, gave the order. Immediately, many martial emperors also created mirror images. There were actually 18 martial emperors, and they chased after each of the 9 underworld heavenly light balls. These great emperors chased after Long Yu outside the ruins. While they were chasing after him, they had to resist the suction force of the spatial cracks. Therefore, they couldn't use their full strength. But it was easy for them to deal with Long Yu. Unfortunately, how could Long Yu let them succeed? His main body returned to one of the empty palace passages as fast as he could. However, he felt a strong gust of wind coming from behind him. It was the old man with white hair and a beard chasing after him. Condense. Long Yu gritted his teeth and condensed even more primordial shadows to cast celestial confinement on the old man. But against a mid-emperor, Long Yu's celestial confinement couldn't even last for a breath's time. Long Yu could only absorb the beast crystals as fast as he could to replenish the energy within his body. He quickly condensed primordial shadows to cast celestial confinement on the old man. Because Long Yu was enveloped in the 9 serenities' heavenly light, the old man couldn't teleport to Long Yu's side. But suddenly, a pillar of flame shot out and filled the entire passage. If he was enveloped by this flame, Long Yu would die without a doubt. There was nothing he could do to save him, except for the Red Emperor's cloak. The Red Emperor's cloak instantly ignited with a scarlet flame that enveloped Long Yu's body. It blocked the flame and protected Long Yu. I'm here. Under the protection of the Red Emperor's cloak, Long Yu finally made it to the 7th palace. He flew forward as fast as he could while activating the Empyrean domain of the Dragonbone Pagoda to prevent the mid-emperor from using spatial runes to cross the palace. It really is the Red Emperor's cloak, it's going to be mine. A hint of greed appeared in the eyes of the white-haired old man as he rapidly chased after Long Yu. At the same time, he condensed another stream of flames. He wanted to fill the entire passageway and kill Long Yu. But when the pillar of flame reached the 7th palace, there was a flash of white light. The protective formation was activated as soon as Long Yu made a hand seal, and it destroyed the mid-emperor's all-out attack. The old man's face darkened. What was going on? Could it be that this kid really could control the protective formation of the palace? He pondered for a moment before continuing to chase after Long Yu. Stepping into the 7th palace, as expected, there was a flash of white light that enveloped the mid-emperor. Without any resistance, the mid-emperor was completely annihilated by the white light. But Long Yu immediately felt that something was wrong. It was definitely not the mid-emperor's body that was annihilated this time. As expected, in the next moment, the figure of the old man appeared behind the 7th palace, and he revealed a cold smile as he looked at Long Yu. Obviously, the one Long Yu had just destroyed was only his clone. Hee, the old man sneered. However, in the next moment, a white light flashed again in the 7th palace hall. An invisible figure was revealed by the white light. It was the true body of the mid-emperor. Long Yu did not dare to be careless. Therefore, he immediately formed a seal and activated the protective array of the 7th palace hall. Sure enough, that guy used a doppelganger to attract Long Yu's attention, while he wanted to quietly pass through the 7th palace hall. Unexpectedly, Long Yu did not fall for it. He cautiously activated the defensive array once again, and it just so happened that the old man was caught in his trap. After resisting for a breath of time, the old man was completely destroyed by the white light. From the miserable screams that he let out before his death, it was indeed the old man's true body. I'm almost out of beast crystals. It looks like I'll have to bring more with me next time. I need at least 10,000. If it weren't for the fact that I don't have enough beast crystals, I'd be playing around with the others. But if I keep playing around, I'm afraid I'll kill myself. Long Yu's heart was extremely calm. He knew very well that although he had killed many Emperor Realm experts, there was still a huge gap between him and an Emperor Realm expert. Any Emperor Realm expert could easily kill him with a single blow. Without the beast crystals to replenish his body, Long Yu would really kill himself. Of course, he wouldn't take such a risk. If he couldn't solve it now, he could solve it later. After Long Yu dealt with the white-haired old man, he used his fastest speed to fly towards the entrance. Very quickly, he broke free from the suction force of the spatial crack, and with a few heavenly jade star shadows, he escaped from the palace. The desolate shadow he used to escape to the other passages had long been destroyed. When he rushed out of the palace, he saw 10 Emperor Realm experts from the Shenluo Empire surrounding him. Each of them had a malicious look on their faces. Bye-bye. Long Yu rushed out of the entrance. He didn't panic when he saw these people. Instead, he smiled faintly and formed a hand seal to activate the spatial crack in the distance. A beam of light shot out and enveloped Long Yu. In just half a breath's time, his body was transported away. It's about time to return. As for the rest of them, Long Yu naturally wouldn't let them return to Shin Wu World. As soon as Long Yu leaves this fragment of a small world, he would immediately form a hand seal to close the entrance of the fragment of a small world and lock them inside. They would never be able to leave this place. When the Emperor Realm experts of the Shenluo Empire saw Long Yu form a hand seal and a beam of light shot out from the spatial crack to send Long Yu away, they immediately felt that something was wrong. This brat actually has the seal of this fragment of a small world. He's been toying with us like we're monkeys this whole time. It's fine if they were toyed with, but as soon as they saw Long Yu's hand seal, they immediately understood that if they were too slow, they would never be able to leave this place. Immediately, they all started to run back to the entrance like madmen. They didn't have the seal of this small world, so they would have to fly for at least 10 days to return. Not only that, they would also need to expend a lot of energy and continuously teleport. The Emperor Realm cultivators from the Taiwu Empire and Shenluo Empire, who had wanted to surround and capture Long Yu, were dumbfounded as they watched the Emperor Realm experts leave. There were at least 100 of them from the Taiwu Empire and Shenluo Empire. Run! They immediately made the same decision as the rest of the Emperor Realm experts. However, Emperor Realm experts were at least twice as fast as Emperor Realm experts. Emperor Realm experts could return to the entrance in 10 days, but Emperor Realm experts would need at least 20 days, and this was under the condition that they were familiar with the route. But what about Long Yu? Chapter 844. Ancient Ruins, Ruins of the Small World of the Sufferers. In this broken small world, Long Yu continuously used the teleportation crack to teleport himself towards the exit. Along the way, he met many martial cultivators from the King Path secret realm. They had all come to this small world, seemingly wanting to obtain some benefits from it. Among these martial cultivators, there were Emperor Realm, Monarch Realm, and even some martial cultivators from the pugilistic world. They didn't belong to any sects or countries, so they came to try their luck. Long Yu could only apologize to these people. He really didn't do it on purpose. However, the only thing he could do now was to quickly leave this place and seal the entire ancient ruins. After spending a full 5 days, Long Yu teleported from the depths of the small world to the exit. It was a rather different teleportation crack. It looked like a river of stars that traversed the void. Dozens of martial cultivators stood guard beside the teleportation river. There were even Emperor Realm experts among them. It wouldn't be easy for Long Yu to leave this place. However, it wasn't as if there was no other way. In fact, this situation was already within Long Yu's expectations. For an ancient ruin like this, it was impossible for there to be no one guarding the exit. With Emperor Realm experts guarding the exit, even a mosquito wouldn't be able to fly out. Even if Long Yu used the Book of Shadows to disguise himself as a small creature, he wouldn't be able to escape the detection of these Emperor Realm experts. However, with a thought, he activated the Book of Shadows and directly disguised himself as a gust of wind. Or rather, he disguised himself as a gust of air. The Book of Shadows could really disguise itself as anything. Under such circumstances, a gust of wind might not be noticed by the Emperor Realm experts. This was also the first time Long Yu tried to disguise himself as wind. He was surprised to find that it was very successful. Moreover, he could freely control the direction of the gust of wind. Under such circumstances, he could only rely on the Book of Shadows. Whether he turned invisible or turned into a shadow, he would undoubtedly be discovered by a Soul Emperor. Therefore, he could only rely on the Book of Shadows to disguise himself if he wanted to leave quietly. A gentle breeze blew past. The dozens of martial cultivators guarding the entrance of the ancient ruins didn't sense anything at first. But soon they were shocked. A gust of wind? They had been guarding the entrance of the ancient ruins for more than 2 months, but they had never felt the wind. Although being blown by the wind was a very common sight in the outside world, it was precisely because of this that they did not notice anything at first. It was only when the experts reacted one after another and wanted to take some measures that they realized it was too late. A burst of white light enveloped the gust of wind that blew past, and then the gust of wind disappeared from the perception of many experts. It left. Everyone instantly reacted and wanted to enter the teleportation crack to leave this place. However, they were shocked to discover that the teleportation crack instantly shrank and then disappeared. The exit was gone. Oh no! The faces of the martial cultivators who were guarding the exit of the ancient ruins instantly darkened. If the exit was gone, wouldn't it mean that they would never be able to get out in this lifetime? Long Yu came out, and the moment he came out, he immediately formed a hand seal and directly closed the entrance of the ancient ruins. From now on, he believed that no one else could open the entrance except for him. Long Yu was still a gust of wind after he came out. He found that there were more martial cultivators guarding the exit, but their cultivation was much lower. They were all King Realm and Emperor Realm experts, and there were only 2 Emperor Realm experts. One was a late-stage Emperor Realm old man, and the other was a middle-stage Emperor Realm general. Long Yu didn't see them when he first arrived, but now he knew that the late-stage Emperor Realm old man was wearing a familiar white robe. He was most likely from the Taiwu Empire, and the general should be a general from the Shenluo Empire. I'm sorry, all the martial cultivators you sent into the ancient ruins can't come out? Taiwu Empire, 54 people, Shenluo Empire, 11 people, Long Yu thought to himself. He didn't stay here for long, and flew up into the sky as fast as he could, like a gust of wind. Almost 2 breaths after he came out, the people guarding outside suddenly felt that something was wrong. Originally, they could feel the surging spatial energy at the bottom of the swamp pond, sensing that it was an ancient ruin. But now, that surging spatial energy actually disappeared in an instant. The late-stage Emperor Realm old man from the Taiwu Empire immediately shouted, "Activate the Void Isolation Formation immediately." Almost as soon as he spoke, a spell formation that had been set up in the swamp suddenly lit up, emitting a space-sealing power that enveloped the entire area within a radius of 100 miles. Naturally, that included Long Yu. Although Long Yu was a gust of wind, when the Void Isolation Formation was activated, not even a gust of wind could be blown out. They wanted to trap Long Yu here until he died. But to Long Yu, this was no problem. Void Isolation Field. Long Yu flew up 100 li into the sky and immediately cancelled his camouflage state. He then took out the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda and activated the Void Isolation Field 50 li away from him to prevent anyone from sneaking up on him. Then, he instantly condensed 10 ancient shadows, and each shadow began to launch his 7th divine ability, the Path of 9 Underworlds, in the same direction. Facing the void isolation formation that was jointly launched by so many powerhouses, Long Yu's path of 9 underworlds was unable to break through the space. But when the 10 ancient shadows launched the void isolation formation at the same time, the space instantly loosened. Then, Long Yu increased his speed and condensed another 10 ancient shadows. Without hesitation, he unleashed the path of 9 underworlds and launched them in the same direction. At the same time, Long Yu absorbed the last of the strange beast crystals on his body, replenishing his strength to the brim. Then, he heard a kacha sound, and the entire void isolation array actually shattered near Long Yu. Almost at the same time that Long Yu began to attack the void isolation formation, the surrounding martial cultivators sensed his appearance and rushed toward him. Many wanted to use teleportation to get close to Long Yu and capture him, but they discovered that they could only teleport 50 li away from Long Yu at most. The void isolation formation of the ancient dragon bone pagoda was something that even many martial emperors couldn't break through from the inside. But from the outside, it wouldn't take long to destroy it. The void isolation formation mainly targeted the inside, not the outside. Hence, it only lasted for 2 breaths before Long Yu's void isolation formation was shattered. But at this time, Long Yu had already penetrated their void isolation formation. With the path of 9 underworlds, he could penetrate through spatial barriers. Immediately afterward, Long Yu disguised himself as Yi Zhenfeng and escaped from the void isolation formation. Seeing this, the others immediately wanted to chase after him, but they discovered that the void isolation formation's exit that Long Yu had penetrated had almost instantly recovered. After Long Yu escaped, the void isolation formation had instead become a barrier that obstructed them. Retreat! Remove the formation! Someone immediately shouted. As the void isolation formation was removed, everyone discovered that there was no trace of Long Yu within their range of perception. Some martial emperors could perceive a range of 1,000 li, but they couldn't find any trace of Long Yu within that range. They all knew that Long Yu was once again disguised as something else. But the world was vast, who could know what Long Yu was disguised as? The only thing they could do now was to deduce. Only the deduction of martial emperors could find traces of Long Yu. But to deduce information about Long Yu, it wasn't something that could be done immediately. Even if it was fast, it would still take 2 hours. And after 2 hours, Long Yu had already flown 1,000 li away. Next, Long Yu's destination could only be the Shunluo Empire's palace. He knew that the Shunluo Empire's prime minister was dead, and the emperor was trapped in the ancient ruins, so the defense of the Shunluo Empire's underground palace wouldn't be too strong. He wanted to force his way into the Shunluo Empire's palace, then find the teleportation formation and directly teleport back to the holy city of the 5 emperors. After all, he was too far from the North Snow Empire. If he wanted to rush back, it was too dangerous. It would take a few days, and it was very likely that those people would deduce accurate information and capture him. But he was only a day's journey from the Shunluo Empire's underground palace. This was the fastest and safest way for him to return to the holy city of the 5 emperors. As long as he returned to the holy city of the 5 emperors, would those people still dare to attack him? A light breeze turned into a gust of wind, flying rapidly in the direction of the Shunluo Empire's palace in the Shunluo Empire's imperial capital. This was an extremely prosperous imperial capital, the largest of the 4 major cities in the Shunluo Empire. At this moment, the daughter of the city lord of the city of Desolate God, Situ Liuli, and her maidservant, Qian Yuxia, were in an extremely luxurious restaurant in the city, admiring the bustling scenery outside. Sitting opposite the 2 women was a young man in an imperial robe. He had a graceful bearing and was cultured and refined, and his eyes shone with the light of wisdom. Liuli, I heard that someone dared to cause trouble in the auction house of the city of Desolate God, and even stole 3 of your supreme desolate level elixirs? The elegant young man chuckled and asked. That's right. Sita Liuli raised an eyebrow. That lowly person deserves to die. Do you know who he is? The elegant young man asked again. Of course I know. His name is Long Yu. After leaving the Shenluo Empire, he actually found a way to become the Red Emperor's direct disciple. But this time, he returned to the Shenluo Empire to cause trouble, so he definitely won't be able to escape. A vicious look flashed in Sita Liuli's eyes. That might not be the case. The elegant young man's eyes flashed with a hint of caution. I heard that guy set foot on the 30th level of the fantasy world of the 5 emperors in the 5 emperors' holy city. This means that he has the potential to become one of the 5 emperors. I'm afraid he's quite capable. We even have the help of the empires from the holy city. How can that guy escape? Sita Liuli snorted. She was a little dissatisfied with the elegant young man. She didn't expect the third prince to think so highly of the lowly person who stole her supreme elixirs. The elegant young man was the third prince of the Shenluo Empire. He had a good relationship with Sita Liuli. I heard that the lowly person escaped into an ancient ruin. For this ancient ruin, more than 70 Emperor Realm experts were dispatched. If that lowly person still managed to escape, the Emperor Realm experts would be too useless. Sita Liuli's eyes flashed with murderous intent. However, she didn't know that her father, Situ Kong, was currently trapped in the wreckage of the small world. And Long Yu, who she said would definitely die, was flying towards her. Liuli, follow me to the Imperial Palace to stay for a few days. Let me show some hospitality. The third prince smiled elegantly. All right. Chapter 845. In less than a day, Long Yu could see the Shenluo Empire's Imperial Palace from afar. Before he left, he had already asked around. One of the teleportation formations built by the alliance of 5 emperors in Shenluo Empire was located in the Shenluo Empire's Holy Garden. The Holy Garden was heavily guarded. Normal people wouldn't be able to enter. Not only was there a teleportation formation built by the alliance of 5 emperors, but it was also the place where the Shenluo Empire's emperor clans used to worship their ancestors. Long Yu's destination this time was the Holy Garden in the Shenluo Empire's Imperial Palace. For a normal empire like Shenluo Empire, there aren't any emperor late-stage cultivators in the entire empire. There are only about 20 to 30 emperor late-stage cultivators in total, and half of them are trapped in the broken world. Unable to come out, Long Yu thought about it for a bit and knew that there should be at least a few emperor late-stage cultivators guarding the Shenluo Empire's Imperial Palace. Shenwu World isn't the same as being in the Afflicted's small world. The reason why Long Yu was able to play around with the Emperor Realm experts in the fragment of the small world was because he was in control of the entire fragment of the small world. Furthermore, he had some tricks up his sleeves within the small world fragment. But in Shenwu World, he didn't know any hand seals, so he could only rely on his own methods to fight against Emperor late-stage cultivators. This was a bit difficult for him. Even if it was just an Emperor early-stage cultivator, the current Long Yu wouldn't be able to handle them. Even if an Emperor late-stage cultivator appeared, they would be able to fight evenly with him. Not to mention that Long Yu had already used up all of his beast crystals. If he were to fight, he wouldn't be able to last long before he ran out of energy, and the consequences would be unimaginable. So when Long Yu arrived at the Shenluo Empire's Imperial Palace, he was extremely cautious. He disguised himself as a moth and flew into the Imperial Palace. As a large empire, the Shenluo Empire's Imperial Palace was extremely prosperous and majestic. Long Yu only took a glance at it before coming up with an idea. He flew to an extremely secluded place and revealed his true form. He condensed 10 primordial phantoms and had them sneak around the Imperial Palace. Unless an Emperor Realm expert was paying close attention, no one would be able to detect his phantoms. Then, he transformed into a moth again and flew toward the sacred garden behind the Imperial Palace. When everything was ready, Long Yu arrived at a back garden that was shielded by a formation. He saw a few Emperor Realm cultivators dressed in Shenluo Empire's Great Desolation Grade War soldiers standing guard at the entrance of the garden. That garden was Long Yu's destination. It was also the location of the Alliance of Five Emperors teleportation portal. There are a total of 3 late Emperor Realm cultivators and a dozen mid-Emperor Realm cultivators. I'm definitely not their match if I fight them head-on. If that's the case, I can only create a diversion. Long Yu thought to himself. He didn't dare to waste any more time here. One should know that the late Emperor Realm cultivator from the Taiwu Empire was still calculating his location. He might appear in front of him in the next moment. He had to save as much time as he could, even if it was just a single breath. Therefore, when he saw so many people guarding the sacred garden, he immediately had a thought. The primordial phantoms that were hiding in various parts of the Imperial Palace attacked almost simultaneously. 9 nether dragon explosions, 9 nether heavenly light, 9 nether dragon breath, and other techniques suddenly erupted from 10 different places in the Imperial Palace, instantly attracting the attention of all the martial cultivators in the Imperial Palace. With Long Yu's techniques, it was not difficult for him to sneak into the Imperial Palace of Shenluo Empire. When he suddenly erupted, the entire Imperial Palace immediately fell into chaos. One should know that there weren't many Emperor Realm cultivators in the entire Shenluo Imperial Palace right now. The attacks of Long Yu's 10 primordial phantoms were equivalent to the attacks of a mid-Emperor Realm cultivator. Moreover, they exploded in an instant, causing the patrolling Imperial Palace army to panic. Although the Emperor Realm cultivators guarding the sacred garden weren't distracted, their attention was focused on the place where the battle broke out. They extended their probing techniques and divine abilities towards the interior of the Imperial Palace. However, they didn't notice an inconspicuous little moth flying past them leisurely. It bypassed the main gate of the sacred garden and flew towards the side gate that wasn't guarded. When he arrived at the side gate of the sacred garden, Long Yu immediately jumped out of the Book of Shadows and transformed into his original form. He then used the 9 nether path towards the spatial formation that covered the entire sacred garden. If the first time wasn't enough, he would use it a second time. Long Yu could even condense more and more primordial phantoms to help him. Compared to breaking through the spatial formation outside the small world fragment, the difficulty of Long Yu entering the sacred garden wasn't that much lower. Fortunately, no one noticed him immediately. He successfully used the 9 nether path more than 10 times and broke through half of the spatial formation barrier of the sacred garden. It was also at this time that 2 tyrannical auras soared into the sky from within the Imperial Palace. It was obvious that the auras of 2 Emperor Realm cultivators had erupted. They charged towards the location where the primordial phantoms that Long Yu had arranged for them to be. These 2 Emperor Realm cultivators thought that the Imperial Palace was under attack. The first thing they would do was to kill the enemy. Unfortunately for them, they didn't know that Long Yu's goal was to enter the sacred garden. The 2 Emperor Realm cultivators were distracted by Long Yu's primordial phantoms. However, his actions of destroying the spatial formation barrier of the sacred garden had attracted the attention of the Emperor Realm cultivators guarding the sacred garden. These people were originally paying attention to the battles that had erupted in other parts of the Imperial Palace. But when one of them sensed that something was amiss behind him, he immediately turned around and saw Long Yu and his dozen or so primordial phantoms. Those who dare trespass into the sacred garden of the Shenluo Empire shall be killed without mercy. The dozen or so Emperor Realm cultivators wanted to charge towards Long Yu, but they discovered that the spatial divine characters in their bodies had all been sealed. They couldn't rush to Long Yu's side at all. There were more than 5 kilometers between the two sides. It would take them at least 3 breaths' time to reach Long Yu. However, Long Yu had finally broken through the barrier of the sacred garden in just 3 breaths' time. It would be great if the absolute space domain and the 9 underworld heavenly light could directly nullify the space formation. It's a pity that these two are only effective against the Space Divine runes of a cultivator, and cannot be used against the Space Divine runes that form the formation. Long Yu felt it was a bit of a pity, but since he had achieved his goal, he stepped into the sacred garden. The barrier of the sacred garden's spatial formation was about to return to normal. However, just as Long Yu entered the sacred garden, a scholarly youth in a golden imperial robe suddenly broke through the barrier of the sacred garden's space array and followed Long Yu into the sacred garden. It was only after the scholarly young man entered the sacred garden that the cracks in the barrier completely disappeared. The dozen or so Emperor Realm cultivators guarding the sacred garden were all blocked outside. My Lord Third Prince, the Emperor Realm cultivators who were guarding the holy garden were shocked when they saw the figures inside. They hurriedly knelt down respectfully and a little fearfully. Would they be punished for not protecting the holy garden properly? However, it was obvious that the scholarly young man in golden imperial robes, the so-called Third Prince, didn't care about them at all. Instead, he looked at Long Yu with wise eyes. "You're Long Yu? I didn't expect to see you here." A trace of surprise flashed through the Third Prince's eyes. He had brought Situ Liuli to the imperial palace to play, but he hadn't expected to see someone enter the sacred garden. He had subconsciously followed them in. It was only after he entered the sacred garden that he realized that the newcomer was Long Yu, a super genius at the mid-stage of King Realm and the Red Emperor's new seventh personal disciple. "You want to stop me? A mid-stage Emperor Realm cultivator?" Long Yu looked at the Third Prince who had appeared in front of him and narrowed his eyes. "My Lord Third Prince, kill him." Two beautiful girls appeared outside the barrier of the sacred garden's spatial formation. It was Situ Liuli and her maid, Qian Yuexia. Situ Liuli stared at Long Yu as an expression of extreme hatred appeared in her eyes. It was this person who had snatched away the 3 great desolate grade elixirs that she was about to obtain, causing her strength to be much lower than she had expected. Now that the Third Prince was the only one in the sacred garden, she naturally wanted him to help her deal with Long Yu. As for whether the Third Prince could deal with Long Yu, it had never been within Situ Liuli's consideration. How could a mid-stage Emperor Realm cultivator like the Third Prince not be a match for a mere mid-stage King Realm cultivator like Long Yu? "You are a wanted criminal of the Empire. Please stay." The Third Prince looked at Long Yu calmly and confidently. Even without Situ Liuli's voice, there was no way he would let Long Yu go. This was because he knew very well what Long Yu meant to the Shenluo Empire right now. He was prepared to capture Long Yu as soon as the battle began. However, what he didn't expect was that Long Yu actually raised his hands and said, "I surrender." "You surrender?" The Third Prince was stunned. Wasn't this person the direct disciple of the Red Emperor? How could he be so cowardly? Situ Liuli didn't think too much about it. In her opinion, Long Yu was just a mid-stage King Realm brat. Now that he was being intercepted by the Third Prince, who was a mid-stage Emperor Realm cultivator, what other choice did he have other than to surrender and die in battle? However, just as the Third Prince was slightly surprised, a jet of blood suddenly sprayed out from his neck. A pitch-black blade appeared in front of his neck and cut it open. "You can't be distracted during a battle. Goodbye, Third Prince." Long Yu's voice rang in the Third Prince's ears like a voice from hell. In the Third Prince's eyes, the Long Yu, who had just expressed his surrender, was gradually turning into an afterimage and dissipating. There was never too much deception in war. Long Yu never minded using any means to eliminate his enemies. If it was any other time, Long Yu might have fought this person to his heart's content. After all, he could sense that the Third Prince wasn't weak. Fighting him would definitely give him a lot of benefits. But right now, Long Yu was in a critical moment of life and death. Most importantly, he didn't have much energy left in his body. If he continued to fight, he definitely wouldn't be able to last more than 3 breaths. Chapter 846. The Third Prince was killed in an instant. Everyone who was watching from outside the sacred garden was dumbfounded. Situ Liuli and Qian Yuexiao widened their beautiful eyes. They never thought that the third prince, who was already in the emperor realm, would be killed by Long Yu, who was only in the king realm, in one move. Shameless bastard! Situ Liuli angrily cursed. Divine runes of fire, light, and ice surged from her body, wanting to shatter the barrier of the Saint Garden's spatial array. However, how could she possibly break through the protective array of the Saint Garden with her meager abilities? Qian Yuxia's maidservant, Qian Yuxia, also helped her out. Unfortunately, the two maidservants were only at the mid and late stages of the king realm. Their attacks landed on the protective barrier of the Holy Garden, but the barrier didn't budge at all. Third Prince. The Emperor Realm experts guarding the Saint Garden also came to their senses, and their eyes widened in anger. The third prince was a prince who had treated them very well, and he had an extremely high reputation in the Shenluo Empire. At this moment, the third prince had actually been killed by a mid-stage King Realm kid in front of them in the Saint Garden. Despicable! All of them felt that Long Yu was simply too despicable. He actually pretended to surrender, but secretly launched a sneak attack and killed the third prince. Such a despicable and shameless person, if they allowed him to leave safely, what face would their Shenluo Empire have left? Long Yu glanced at the people outside the sacred garden indifferently. Then, he turned around and walked towards the center of the sacred garden. He wouldn't be affected by their words. As long as he could achieve his goal, it didn't matter what methods he used. Furthermore, given the situation just now, did he really expect him to have a fair fight with the third prince? That was simply seeking his own death. Long Yu would do whatever he could to survive. As for the third prince's corpse, Long Yu was merciful enough to keep it. Although the third prince was also a prince, the treasures he possessed were definitely not inferior to Prince Yunduan's. However, to the current Long Yu, 100,000 Shinbi was nothing. There was no need for him to waste his time escaping for such a small amount of money. At almost the same time that Long Yu turned around and teleported to the center of the Holy Garden, the spatial barrier that had enveloped the entire Holy Garden finally disappeared. The Emperor Realm cultivators guarding the Holy Garden had finally worked together to remove the formation. Because if the spatial array was still there, they wouldn't be able to enter. If they wanted to stop Long Yu from escaping, they could only cancel the space array and go in to stop Long Yu. As for why Long Yu wanted to come to the Holy Garden, they were very clear. Teleportation array. This teleportation formation could be activated with enough spatial attribute exotic beast crystals. Even if Long Yu only had 100 spatial attribute exotic beast crystals on him, he could rely on this teleportation formation to teleport him hundreds of millions of kilometers away. Not to mention, how would they know how many spatial attribute exotic beast crystals Long Yu had on him? Once Long Yu activated the teleportation formation, it was very likely that he would directly escape the Shenluo Empire's territory. At that time, it would be as difficult as finding a needle in a haystack to catch Long Yu. Absolute Space Domain. Long Yu arrived at the center of the Holy Garden and saw the teleportation formation built in the middle of a beautiful pond. He immediately teleported to it. He activated the absolute space domain of the ancient Dragon Bone Tower to prevent others from rushing over. At the same time, he took out the tens of thousands of spatial attribute exotic beast crystals he had prepared before leaving the holy city of the 5 emperors and activated the teleportation formation. He could feel that the sealing formation protecting the Holy Garden had been cancelled. If he didn't use the absolute space domain, he probably wouldn't be able to last until the teleportation formation was activated. Fortunately, there was no one else in the Holy Garden, so he successfully arrived at the teleportation formation at the center. In the distance, the dozen or so Emperor Realm experts guarding the Holy Garden all attacked Long Yu. In just 3 breaths' time, they had shattered the absolute space domain from the outside. However, they were greeted by a dozen or so primordial shadows of Long Yu. Each of them unleashed 9 underworld heavenly light and trapped the Emperor Realm experts within. Long Yu had spent 3 breaths' time to prepare, and this time, he had directly stalled the Emperor Realm experts for 5 to 6 breaths' time. However, the energy in Long Yu's body had been completely depleted. He could no longer use any other martial techniques or divine abilities. He couldn't even use the Nether Void Dragon Blade to penetrate through space. Destination: the Holy City of the 5 Emperors. Fortunately, Long Yu was very familiar with the process of activating the teleportation formation. By the time the 10,000 or so spatial attribute beast crystals had been used up, Long Yu's figure was bathed in a burst of dazzling white light. The Emperor Realm cultivators had completely dispelled Long Yu's 9 nether heavenly light, only to discover that Long Yu was about to be teleported away. They couldn't help but be greatly alarmed. Each and every one of them executed spatial divine runes and rushed to Long Yu's side, bathing in the dazzling white light together with him. All of them wanted to attack Long Yu, but they discovered that after being illuminated by the resplendent white light, they were unable to activate any of the energy in their bodies. They could only allow themselves to be teleported to an unknown place. "Where do you think you're going?" an early Emperor Realm cultivator shouted from the horizon. A true expert had finally arrived from other parts of the Imperial Palace, but he didn't make it in time. The white light of the teleportation formation flashed and disappeared. Long Yu and the 10 Emperor Realm experts disappeared along with it. The early Emperor Realm cultivator flew over to see where Long Yu had been teleported to. If he wasn't too far away, he would immediately organize a group of people to hunt him down. However, when he saw the densely packed exotic beast crystals on the teleportation formation, his face instantly turned pale. The 10,000 or so spatial attributed exotic beast crystals were all exhausted. More than 10,000 spatial attribute beast crystals. This was exactly the amount of beast crystals needed to teleport from the Shunluo Empire to the Holy City of the 5 Emperors. The Holy City of the 5 Emperors. The early-stage Great Emperor from the Shunluo Empire stiffened. After the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, a late-stage Great Emperor Elder and a mid-stage Great Emperor from the Shunluo Empire finally returned to the palace. However, the news they received was that Long Yu had barged into the Holy Garden and left through the teleportation formation. The late Emperor Realm Old Man from the Taiwu Empire was livid. He didn't expect that after such a long time, Long Yu would still be able to return to the Holy City of the 5 Emperors. Not only that, the other 54 martial emperors that the Taiwu Empire had sent out this time could be said to be a very important part of the Taiwu Empire's strength. However, in order to explore the ancient ruins and capture Long Yu, not a single one of them had made it out of the ancient ruins. Thinking back to Long Yu's performance from beginning to end, the elder from the Taiwu Empire understood that this was all a scheme devised by Long Yu alone. This child is indeed full of secrets. He can even enter and exit the ancient ruins at will, open and close it, and control the realm of the cultivators who can enter. The elder from the Taiwu Empire understood that everything was within Long Yu's control. Although this was a huge loss, it was obvious that the Taiwu Empire would be more interested in the secrets on Long Yu. As for what the Taiwu Empire and the others thought, Long Yu couldn't be bothered. The Taiwu Empire had already suffered a huge loss this time. This matter could not be brought to the surface. In the dark, the Taiwu Empire originally wanted to capture Long Yu. Now that the Taiwu Empire was even more furious, there was no harm to Long Yu. After all, when he was in the Holy City of the 5 Emperors, the Taiwu Abyss would not dare to make a move even if they were given 10,000 times the courage. If the Taiwu Abyss dared to openly kill the Red Emperor's disciple, they could only wait for the Red Emperor to blacklist the entire Taiwu Empire. As for the Shunluo Empire's loss, it was obviously even greater. The Prime Minister of the Shunluo Empire was toyed to death by Long Yu in the wreckage of the small world, the emperor of the Shunluo Empire was directly trapped by Long Yu in the ancient ruins. The Shunluo Empire had a total of 23 Emperor Realm Masters. This time, 11 of them were completely annihilated in the ancient ruins, and none of them came out alive. It was conceivable that after this battle, the strength of the entire Shunluo Empire would be greatly reduced. However, would this affect Long Yu? Not at all, and it would even benefit him a lot. A white light flashed. Long Yu returned to a familiar scene, the 99th floor of the Holy City of the Five Emperors, the level of the transmission formation. But soon, he was a little surprised because he found that he was not the only one who was transported here. There were more than 10 Emperor Realm Masters with him. These 10 Emperor Realm Masters were all the guards of the Holy Garden of the Shunluo Empire. Not only were they ranked at the top of the Shunluo Empire in terms of martial arts, they had also cultivated many desolate-level martial skills and possessed desolate-level combat weapons. Their combat strength was extraordinary. Everyone, welcome to the Holy City of the Five Emperors. Long Yu smiled faintly. Before the 10 Emperor Realm Masters could react, they heard Long Yu's order. These people are chasing after me. Help me control them. The 10 Emperor Realm cultivators didn't even have time to observe their surroundings before a terrifying sealing divine rune energy suddenly appeared and completely sealed the 10 of them. They couldn't even move a muscle. Thank you, Elder. Long Yu smiled and thanked an elder of the Alliance of Five Emperors politely. Young man, not bad. You were able to escape from so many Emperor Realm Masters. It seems that you have quite a long life. It seems that the Red Emperor has found a good disciple. The elder's hair was white and his beard reached his waist. He had a look of admiration on his face. This elder was the elder of the Alliance of Five Emperors who guarded the transmission formation. His strength was similar to the Tianxiang Emperor's. It was easy to imagine how easy it was for him to seal 10 Emperor Realm martial cultivators in an instant. What do you plan to do with these people? The elder pointed at the 10 Emperor Realm martial cultivators and asked Long Yu. Seal their powers first and leave them to me. Long Yu smiled politely and said, I am preparing to step into the late stage of the King Realm. When the time comes, my inner world will merge with the origin. Let them enter my inner world. Go. The elder nodded and closed his eyes. The 10 Emperor Realm martial cultivators couldn't resist at all. Their powers were sealed and they could only leave with Long Yu. Chapter 847. Holy City of the Five Emperors, Holy Tower, Dragon Domain. Long Yu returned to his territory with the 10 sealed Emperor Realm martial cultivators. Looking around, there were many buildings on the vast grassland. They were practical but not luxurious. This was his biggest base in the Holy City of the Five Emperors. Shi Yenguo and the 7 members of the Death Legion should have arrived a long time ago. I wonder how their cultivation went in the past 3 months. Long Yu thought to himself as he walked towards the buildings with a smile on his face. Very soon, he saw Qin Yashuang and Zisu. The 2 women had already stepped into the middle stage of the King Realm. It was obvious that the cultivation in the Star Spirit Array had allowed the 2 women's martial arts realms to improve much faster than before. Of course, compared to Long Yu, their speed couldn't be considered fast. If nothing unexpected happened, Long Yu's strength would increase by another level when he saw the Envoy of Death again after he dealt with the matters here. Late stage of the King Realm was the minimum level. Brother Long, you're back. Qin Yashuang and Zisu's faces lit up when they saw Long Yu. They hurriedly stood up from the hall and looked at the 10 Emperor Realm experts behind Long Yu at the same time. The 10 Emperor Realm experts' powers were all sealed. They had to do whatever Long Yu wanted them to do. Otherwise, Long Yu could destroy them with a wave of his hand. Therefore, they followed Long Yu with their heads lowered. They were extremely nervous as they didn't know what Long Yu wanted them to do. Of course, Long Yu wouldn't arrange things for them right now. Therefore, he ordered, the 10 of you stay here. Don't move. Zisu, look after them. If anyone dares to do anything, kill them immediately. Yes, Brother Long, Zisu hurriedly nodded when she heard this. She had experienced many battles since she started cultivating. She was no stranger to killing people. Therefore, she would carry out Long Yu's request without hesitation. Long Yu didn't doubt her methods at all. If she didn't have a strong mental fortitude, she would have died a long time ago when she was on the mission with Qin Yashuang. Then, Long Yu and Qin Yashuang went to the cultivation tower together. In the cultivation tower, Long Yu saw Shi Yengu and the 7 members of the Death Legion. What made Long Yu happy was that these people's martial realm improved very quickly in these 3 months. Xiao Wu, I didn't expect you to reach the 6 realms divinity realm in 3 months. Xiao Wu, I didn't expect you to reach the 6 realms divinity realm in 3 months. To the people of the North Snow Empire, this speed was practically unimaginable. All of this was naturally due to the astral spiritual formation, as well as a portion of the cultivation resources originally belonging to the Dark Shadow Pavilion that Long Yu had given them. Apart from Shi Yengu, who reached the 6 realms divinity realm, the other 7 members of the Death Legion had also reached the divinity secret realm. Even the slowest one had reached the 4 realms divinity realm. Apart from Shi Yengu, who reached the 6 realms divinity realm, the other 7 members of the Death Legion had also entered the divinity secret realm. The slowest one had already reached the 4 realms divinity realm. Who else came with you? Long Yu asked immediately. There's also the princess, Brother Duguijian, Brother Feng Xiaofei, and Brother Feng Haofeng. A total of 4, but they didn't cultivate in the Star Soul formation. Instead, they went out to train. Shi Yengu answered. Yes. Long Yu nodded and didn't mind. Although it was dangerous to go out to train, Long Yu didn't need to worry for others. The path of martial arts was to be walked by oneself. At most, Long Yu would provide some cultivation resources and a better cultivation environment. As for the other people's final achievements in martial arts, the key was still up to them. Xiao Wu, get ready. Bring everyone and come with me in 2 days. Long Yu instructed Shi Yengu. Shi Yengu naturally nodded without hesitation. Next, Long Yu went to see Shi He, Song Lao, and Qin Yishuang's mother. The 2 of them saw each other every day in the Dragon Realm, and they had developed a close friendship. They were proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, so they had a companion. They wouldn't be too bored here. Then, Long Yu pinched the seal and left the Dragon Realm. He went to the meeting hall of the Sacred Tower and asked an elder of the Alliance of 5 Emperors in the meeting hall to see the Red Emperor or someone under the Red Emperor. The elder's duty was to pass on orders. Soon, the 4th direct disciple of the Red Emperor, Nalin Jun, rushed over to see Long Yu. Long Yu had already seen Nalin Jun before. This person was elegant and graceful. His white clothes were like the wind, but his height was a disadvantage. Even though Nalin Jun was now an emperor powerhouse, he still couldn't change his height. If nothing unexpected happened, this would undoubtedly be his life's regret. Of course, Nalin Jun didn't seem to feel inferior because of this. He came with a smile and saw Long Yu. Then, he said, 7th Junior, you're finally back. Master told me to wait for you for a long time. Come with me first. You haven't been to my territory yet. Yes, thank you, Senior. Long Yu smiled and nodded. Hearing that it was the Red Emperor who told him to wait here, Long Yu knew that the Red Emperor had a lot to say to him. Usually, there were too many people in the meeting hall. It wasn't a good place to talk. Then, Long Yu followed Nalin Jun to the 1562nd floor of the Sacred Tower. This was Nalin Jun's territory, called Nalin Residence. So Senior Martial Brother lives 2 floors higher than me. After Long Yu arrived, he suddenly realized something. Not really. Nalin Jun shook his head and smiled. The entire Sacred Tower looks like a tall tower from the outside, from the lowest to the highest, from the first floor to the innumerable floors. But in fact, the entire Sacred Tower is just a small world of an expert. The floors we talk about are actually different areas of this small world. Small world? Long Yu was puzzled. Of course he knew about small worlds, but it wasn't something that an Emperor Realm martial cultivator would know. Even an Emperor powerhouse couldn't transform their inner world into a small world. To have a small world, one had to surpass the Emperor Realm. How did Nayland June know? It's said that a small world is formed from the inner world of an expert that surpasses the Emperor Realm. I only heard this from Master. Nayland June smiled. It's said that only in a small world can one control certain things by forming a seal. Don't ask me, I don't know which expert's small world this sacred tower belongs to, nor do I know where that expert is now. Yes. Long Yu nodded his head and smiled as well. The sacred tower had been built for thousands of years. Who knew which expert left behind a small world to build it? Long Yu didn't have the desire to find out. He was more concerned about what the Red Emperor wanted Nayland June to tell him. Long Yu followed Nayland June into Nayland Ju. Along the way, it was an eye-opening experience. He could see that the entire Nayland Ju was originally a prairie like the dragon's domain. But now, Nayland Ju had become an elegant courtyard with pavilions, gurgling water, birdsong, and fragrant flowers. It was a paradise on earth. Such a transformation also served as a foil to Nayland June's elegance. It seemed that his natural and unrestrained temperament wasn't intentional. Junior brother, take a seat. Nayland June brought Long Yu to a courtyard and leisurely sat down in a pavilion. With a snap of his fingers, two beautiful young ladies carrying a tea set appeared in front of the two of them and poured tea for them. Senior brother, you really enjoy yourself. Long Yu sighed from the bottom of his heart. The path of cultivation is long, I can't treat myself badly. Junior brother, come, have some tea. Nayland June laughed. If the tea doesn't suit your taste, I'll ask them to change it to some good wine. No need to trouble yourself, just have some tea. Long Yu shook his head and picked up a cup of tea. Feeling the cool fragrance of the tea, he took a sip and couldn't help but praise. It's really good tea. This wasn't Long Yu's flattery, but the tea was really good. It showed that Nayland June was really an elegant person. He knew how to enjoy himself while cultivating. It's good that junior brother likes it. Nayland June smiled. Oh right, the jade slip you left last time, Master looked through it 3 months ago. After looking through it, he quickly organized a team of 100 Emperor Realm powerhouses. According to the plan you suggested, the 12 nests of the winged god race were completely destroyed. In this battle, our 5 Emperors Alliance did not lose a single expert, but we managed to exterminate the nest of the winged god race. It can be said to be the most successful battle against the mutated beast. This is all thanks to Junior Brother's suggestion. Hence, the Scarlet Tharch personally gave the order that you will get 1/3 of the profits from the extermination of the mutated beast. 1/3 of the profits? When Long Yu heard this, he was a little surprised. Originally, he thought that getting 3 divine rune source stones would be good enough. But now, he was actually getting 1/3 of the total profits. 12 intact alien beast nests of the winged god race, plus 2 nests that were under construction, have all been eliminated by us. Nayland June continued with a smile. We obtained a total of 14 divine rune source stones. Master said that 5 of them belong to you. There are also more than 4,000 first-grade divine rune crystals. You will get 1,400 of them. The rest are beast crystals. There are tens of thousands of ordinary beast crystals. You will get tens of thousands of them. There are also dozens of special crystals. You will get 5 special crystals of the Emperor Realm. The total value is exactly 1/3 of all the special crystals. So many. This time, Long Yu was truly astonished. This harvest was much more than what he had expected. 5 divine rune source stones. Long Yu didn't know what they were used for, but to him, this was the bargaining chip he needed to obtain benefits from the Envoy of Death. Naturally, the more the better. divine runic crystals, 1,400 of them. This was enough for Long Yu to completely comprehend all of the divine runes, including the divine runes of death, Azura, and Siphon divine runes. These divine runes would greatly enhance his strength. Chapter 848. Apart from the divine rune source stones and divine rune crystals, the alliance of 5 emperors had also killed more than 50,000 winged beasts of various cultivation levels during the operation. They had obtained more than 50,000 beast crystals in total. These ordinary beast crystals weren't very useful. They could only replenish the energy consumed by cultivators. Moreover, they were the power of the divine rune of space. Therefore, they were basically useless to Long Yu. Give me the ordinary beast crystals and exchange them for shadow attribute beast crystals. I need shadow attribute beast crystals more. Long Yu said to Nalan Jun with a smile. Back in the ancient ruins, he had brought over 1,000 shadow-attributed exotic beast crystals with him, but it wasn't enough. Now that he had obtained over 10,000 exotic beast crystals, he could save some money to buy exotic beast crystals. No problem. There are a total of 12,000 beast crystals. They all belong to you. I'll give them to you after I exchange them for shadow attribute beast crystals. Nalan Jun smiled. He clapped his hands and called for a maid in the late Emperor realm. Under his command, the maid's figure flickered and disappeared in front of the two. Not long after, she returned with a space belt warrior and handed it to Long Yu respectfully. Long Yu took the space belt warrior and looked at its content. He couldn't help but be surprised. This maid was very efficient. There were 5 spatial attribute divine runic origin stones, 1,400 first-rank spatial attribute divine runic crystals, 12,000 shadow attribute exotic beast crystals, and 5 Emperor Realm special crystals. Everything was inside the space belt. There's also the information Junior Brother submitted to the Alliance of 5 Emperors. Of the 200 million points you obtained, 100 million points were originally sealed. However, after the success of the operation, the information you submitted was proven to be correct. The 100 million points that were sealed have been sent to your exclusive Jade slip. Nalan Jun said again. Thank you, Senior Brother. Long Yu nodded. Originally, the condition that he had discussed with the Scarlet Dharch was that if the operation was successful, he would exchange 100 million alliance points for 3 divine rune source stones. But now, not only did he receive a reward that far exceeded his expectations, he even received 100 million alliance points. After all, the information he submitted was the reward, and the plan to destroy the beast lair was another reward. The two should not be confused. After that, Long Yu bid farewell to Nalan Jun. He had gained a lot from this trip. Next, he would need a long period of time to cultivate in seclusion. It just so happened that there was still 1.5 years before the competition of the strongest king realm. During this period, Long Yu should be able to advance to the late stage of the king realm, and consolidate his cultivation in the late stage of the king realm, preparing to compete for the title of the strongest king realm. This title was not very useful, but if he won this title, he would receive a great reward from the Alliance of 5 Emperors. For Long Yu it was quite attractive. The competition of the strongest king realm was held once every 7 years. It was said that the reward for the first place was quite generous, enough to move anyone's heart. Even Yen Di, one of the 5 emperors, said that if he was still in the king realm, he would not miss such a competition. This was a competition for all the king realm cultivators in the Shenwu world. Once you became the first place, it represented the first place in the king realm. The value of first place was extremely high. It had to be mentioned that in the North Snow Empire, Jing Tianxing had only made it into the top 10,000, yet his name had already spread far and wide in the vicinity of the North Snow Empire. Long Yu left Nalanju and met up with Qin Yashuang in the meeting hall. Then, Long Yu took Qin Yashuang to another floor of the sacred tower. On this floor, He could use alliance points and red emperor points to exchange for anything he wanted, such as divine rune crystals. Alliance points and red emperor points could be obtained by completing missions. Among them, red emperor points could be exchanged for higher quality items, but red emperor points could not be exchanged with Shinbi. Long Yu completed a reconnaissance mission before and received a reward of 10 million alliance points, along with an additional 1 million red emperor points. Then, Long Yu submitted a mission with information about the winged god race's exotic beasts, and received 200 million alliance points as well as 20 million red emperor points. 20 million red emperor points, even for a fourth direct disciple of the Red Emperor like Nalin Jun, was a very considerable amount of wealth. It could be exchanged for countless cultivation resources, and its value was basically the same as 200 million alliance points. Plus, it could be exchanged for some precious items that alliance points could not exchange for. Long Yu went to the exchange floor and chose what he needed with Qin Yashuang. Alliance points could be exchanged for Shinbi, and they could also be exchanged for many cultivation resources in the Alliance of Five Emperors. But Long Yu did not lack cultivation resources, so he was too lazy to look at them. He was more concerned about martial arts technique. Although he did not lack martial arts techniques, the people of the Heavenly Mandate Manor and the Shura Manor did not. He could not pass on the ancient and immemorial level martial arts techniques to others. In addition, he also wanted to see if there were any special martial skills that were similar to the Dubhichi drawing. This kind of martial skill might not be of a very high grade, but its effects were extremely heaven-defying. For example, if the Dubhichi drawing was comprehended to the perfection realm, it would actually be able to increase the effect of Long Yu's absorption of medicinal pills by nearly double, as well as more than double the basic cultivation speed. During this search, he found a lot of special martial arts technique. They were at least desolate-level martial arts techniques, but their special effects were quite strange. For Long Yu, they were not very useful. There was only one upper desolate-level martial arts technique called Diamond Star Body. It was a body-strengthening martial arts technique. Its effect was to increase the strength of the cultivator's body proportionally. In other words, the stronger the cultivator's body, the better the effect of cultivating this martial arts technique would be. Moreover, the Diamond Star Body was not purely a body-strengthening martial arts technique. It also had decent attack and defense methods, and it would not conflict with other body-strengthening martial arts technique. It was exactly the type of martial arts technique that Long Yu wanted. You want to exchange for the Diamond Star Body? The two elders in charge of managing the Alliance of Five Emperors were surprised by Long Yu's choice. The Diamond Star Body was a body-strengthening martial arts technique that no one was willing to cultivate. This was because most martial arts practitioners in the divine battle world did not need a strong body. After all, they had cultivated very good defensive martial arts technique. If the defensive martial arts technique could not withstand an attack, then the body-strengthening martial arts technique was not very useful. That's right. I only need 1 million red emperor points, or 10 million alliance points. I will use 1 million red emperor points to exchange for it. Long Yu nodded, expressing his confirmation. So he spent 1 million red emperor points to exchange for the Diamond Star Body Cultivation Jade Tag. After taking a look, he immediately memorized the cultivation method in his mind. Since you've exchanged for the martial arts technique, there is one thing you must do, and that is, you cannot privately teach this martial arts technique to others. If you want to teach this martial arts technique to others, you must register here and pay a certain amount of points, the elder in charge of managing the resources of the Alliance of Five Emperors told Long Yu. I understand, Long Yu nodded. He didn't have any complaints about this. No matter what kind of force it was, martial arts techniques were very important to them. If they casually taught it to others, it wouldn't take long for other forces to catch up to them. As the strongest force in the divine battle world, the Alliance of Five Emperors, of course they would not ignore the spread of martial arts techniques. Moreover, the alliance of 5 emperors allowed people to teach martial arts techniques to others as long as they registered. Simply put, it cost money, and the alliance of 5 emperors would verify the identity of the person being taught the martial arts technique. As for how many points they needed to pay, it wasn't certain, but it was usually based on half of the exchange price of the martial arts technique. For example, Long Yu currently had 1 million red emperor points to exchange for the diamond star body. If he wanted to teach it to others, he would have to register here and pay around 500,000 red emperor points. After obtaining the diamond star body cultivation method, Long Yu spent another 3 million red emperor points to exchange for a large number of desolate and ancient pills from the entire alliance of 5 emperors' resources. These pills were ones that Long Yu hadn't taken before, or rather, he hadn't taken more than 3 pills, so he would still have an effect if he took them. Choosing the pills took Long Yu half a day's time, and this was because Qin Yashuang was helping him sort them out. 3 million red emperor points was equivalent to 30 million alliance points, which was equivalent to 30 million Shinbi. Using it to buy desolate and ancient pills, one could imagine how much he could buy. And the alliance of 5 emperors didn't disappoint Long Yu. He actually found more than 100 pills that he hadn't taken before. However, after this, in the entire Shen Wu world, Long Yu probably wouldn't be able to find any pills that he hadn't taken before, including some desolate level pills. As for ancient level pills, even the alliance of 5 emperors didn't have them, because the value of these things was too high, and it wasn't something that the alliance of 5 emperors' alchemists could refine. Whoever obtained it from the ancient ruins would be the one to own it, so Long Yu's idea of exchanging for 2 more heavenly demon pills was completely dashed. Then, Long Yu asked how many first-class divine rune crystals the alliance of 5 emperors had, and the answer was that there were still 2,000 left in the warehouse. 2,000 first-class divine rune crystals. Without hesitation, Long Yu exchanged for all of them. Each first-class divine rune crystal was worth at least 100,000 Shinbi, which was equivalent to 10,000 red emperor points. A total of 2,000 first-class divine rune crystals required 20 million red emperor points. Even if Long Yu spent all of his red emperor points on this, it still wouldn't be enough. After thinking about it, he could only spend 12 million red emperor points and 80 million alliance points to exchange for these 2,000 first-class divine rune crystals. Fortunately, he had the qualifications to use alliance points to exchange for divine rune crystals. The status of the Red Emperor's direct disciple was not to be trifled with. Like this, he obtained another 2,000 first-class divine rune crystals, but he only had 5 million red emperor points and 20 million alliance points left, becoming a pauper again. Of course, this pauper was only relative to the previous Long Yu. Compared to a normal cultivator, Long Yu's remaining wealth was still unimaginable. Chapter 849. 4 chapters had been updated for today. There were 2 event notifications. 1. Write a book review and get a pair of headphones. There are a total of 10 lucky winners in this event. There aren't many people who write a book review. Basically, as long as you write a book review, you'll be able to win a pair of headphones. The event for writing a book review and getting a pair of fashionable headphones has begun. Event time. Participation method. Write a book review for Dragon Martial Emperor Supreme Being to participate in the event. 1 note, please log in first. 2. Enter the homepage of the corresponding book, search for the book's name, and write a book review format. Participate in the book review event, plus book review content of at least 50 words. Rules of selection. Up until the end of the event, the author of the book will choose the readers who will win the book review. There will be a total of 10 lucky readers for each book. The book review content must not involve pornography or politics, and must not violate any laws and regulations. The word count must be at least 50 words. Event prize. Each lucky reader will be able to win a pair of high-quality, fashionable headphones. The official platform will provide 10 lucky readers for each book. At the same time, the author will also provide a small gift for each lucky reader. Direct to the Dragon Martial Emperor Supreme Being. 2. Holiday Red Envelopes. This book is from the Dragon's Martial Alliance, 487821318. The group is currently giving out Holiday Red Envelope. Everyone can search and join the group. At the same time, there will be a big red envelopes distributed in the group on National Day. Everyone is welcome to grab the red envelopes. Chapter 850. 3 days later. Long Yu called Shi Yengu and the others along with the 10 sealed Emperor Realm cultivators. They left the sacred tower and prepared to go to the ancient Azura Palace to look for the Death Envoy. This trip was rather troublesome for Long Yu because he didn't want anyone else to know about the Death Envoy's existence. However, the only way to learn the Death Binding Seal formation was to have Shi Yengu and the others meet the Death Envoy personally. As for the 10 sealed Emperor Realm cultivators, Long Yu directly put them into the independent space of the Book of Shadows. When the Book of Shadows reached the intermediate rank, it created an independent space. Long Yu had experimented with it for the past 3 days and discovered that it could actually take in living beings. Moreover, the number of living beings he could take in wasn't small. The 10 Emperor Realm cultivators were all put into the space of the Book of Shadows by Long Yu. At the same time, Shi Yengu and the others disappeared from the real world without a trace. Long Yu finally set off with peace of mind. He wasn't worried that Shi Yengu and the 10 Emperor Realm cultivators would expose him, but he was worried that someone would follow him. Therefore, every time he went to the ancient Azura Palace to look for the Death Envoy, he would disguise himself as something else. This time, Long Yu disguised himself as a gust of wind just to be on the safe side. He disguised himself as the other 10 Emperor Realm cultivators. This is the ancient Azura Palace. Long Yu explained with a smile. When I escaped from the Tianqin dynasty to the North Snow dynasty, I relied on this ancient Azura Palace. However, I didn't bring you here today to see this palace. I brought you here to meet a senior. A senior? Shi Yengu has completely comprehended it. They haven't met these 2 conditions yet. The Death Envoy glanced at the 8 people and said indifferently, "That's exactly why I brought them here." Long Yu smiled. Senior Envoy has a Death Origin Stone on him. Not only can it allow them to comprehend source-level divine characters of death, but it can also allow them to comprehend all of them as quickly as possible. This is the fastest way for them to fulfill their conditions. Right now, Shi Yangwu's group of 8 had only comprehended engraved divine characters of death. Their power was far inferior to origin divine characters of death. That was why Long Yu had brought them here. The Death Envoy sneered. "Brat, do you think this envoy is your servant? Do you think I have to be responsible for training your subordinates?" Senior Emissary, firstly, they are not my subordinate. They are only my friends. Secondly, I am not ordering Senior to do this. I want to make a deal with Senior. Long Yu had already expected this situation. As he spoke, he took out a space attribute divine runic source stone from his body. I'll use this divine runic source stone to let Senior train these 8 people. I believe this should be a trivial matter for Senior, right? When Long Yu took out the divine runic source stone, the Death Envoy said lightly, "Before, you used a divine runic source stone to exchange for the fallen dark stars cultivation method. You still owe me that divine runic source stone. That's why I brought 2. Long Yu took out another divine runic source stone. This time, the Death Envoy couldn't remain calm. "Brat, it seems this envoy has underestimated you. In just 3 short months, you actually obtained 2 divine runic source stones. Could it be that there are divine runic source stones in the wreckage of the Suffer's small world?" The Death Envoy was somewhat puzzled. That shouldn't be the case. That fellow, Sir Juyo Dragon Emperor, keeps a close eye on him. It's impossible for him to give the divine runic source stones and divine rune crystals to him. I obtained these after destroying an alien beast nest. Long Yu explained. Although the Death Envoy didn't believe it, since Long Yu had taken out the divine runic source stone, he certainly wouldn't miss it. In fact, this envoy is more willing to exchange an immemorial grade martial skill for your divine runic source stone. After all, it's too troublesome to teach these 8 brats. Brat, what do you think? I don't need a martial skill right now. Long Yu said with a smirk. Alright then. The Death Envoy finally agreed. I'll teach the 8 of them for you until they step into the Imperial Path Mystic Realm and learn the Dead Binding Seal Array. You have to be mentally prepared, this will take at least a year. No problem. Long Yu nodded, then turned to Shi Yenwu and the others and said, The 8 of you, from today onwards, follow Senior Death Envoy and cultivate until you step into the Imperial Path Mystic Realm and learn the Dead Binding Seal Array. Yes. How could the 8 people not know that this Senior Death Envoy who exuded the aura of the divine runes of death was absolutely a powerhouse? Following such a senior to cultivate, the most important thing was not the speed at which one's cultivation increased, but the unique insights such a powerhouse had towards cultivation. Moreover, these 8 people were cultivators who had comprehended the divine runes of death, so they had long felt the divine runes of death's power. This senior must have a profound understanding of the divine runes of death. You all go rest first, this envoy will come find you in a moment. The Death Envoy waved his hand and sent the 8 people away. Since he wanted to train these 8 people, he naturally wouldn't go back on his word. Moreover, it was impossible for him to train them in the Azura Ancient Palace, but in the Death Ancient Palace. Only in such an environment could the 8 people comprehend the true meaning of the divine runes of death at the fastest speed. After sending the 8 people away, the Death Envoy cackled and asked Long Yu, Brat, how was your harvest in this trip to the suffering refugees' miniature world? You must have obtained a lot of things. Was there a pill like this envoy mentioned? Senior, this is what I wanted to talk to you about. Long Yu let go of his hand and took out the 100 precious pills he obtained, placing them in front of the Death Envoy. An extremely rich medicinal fragrance mixed with the aura of heaven and earth energy instantly filled the entire Azura Ancient Palace's main hall. If anyone else in the Shenwu world could smell this rich medicinal fragrance and aura of heaven and earth, they would definitely be shocked. Long Yu believed that even an existence like the Red Emperor would be the same. After all, among these pills, there were pills that surpassed the archaic rank. However, as the Death Envoy looked at these pills, the emotions in his voice didn't change in the slightest. He simply said, There are still 100 pills left, your luck isn't bad. This is the pill you wanted, the Spiritual Enhancement Pill, an archaic rank super rank pill. It can restore your mental energy and allow you to once again cultivate the realm of death. And this, the Spirit Consolidating Pill, a top-grade ancient grade pill, also has a pretty good effect on your mental recovery. With these 2 pills added together, it is enough for you to cultivate your death realm body refinement to 2 higher realms. Of course, the prerequisite is that you can withstand the pain of the cycle of death and reincarnation. You have already experienced it before, and the more profound the death realm body refinement is, the more intense the pain will be. Chapter 851. Long Yu put away the spirit-fortifying pill and essence-nourishing pill, then looked at the remaining 98 pills, especially the 4 with the strongest medicinal aroma that surpassed the Archean grade. Senior Emissary, what are the rest of the pills? Can you introduce them to me? Long Yu asked. The Death Emissary naturally wouldn't refuse Long Yu's request. It was just a matter of moving his lips. Let me introduce these 4 pills to you first. Do you know what's above the ancient grade, archaic grade, and immemorial grade? The Death Emissary always felt a sense of accomplishment whenever he imparted knowledge to Long Yu. I don't know. Long Yu replied modestly. It's the unbounded grade. The Death Envoy's tone contained a trace of reminiscence. in the Beyond Heaven world, primordial grade elixirs are already considered to be extremely good elixirs. Even some of the geniuses from the major powers could only obtain primordial grade elixirs at most. Pills that surpass the Archean grade are called unbounded grade pills. They're completely different from ordinary pills. Unbounded grade pills, battle weapons, and even martial techniques all have one thing in common. The power they contain is limitless. Simply put, the same endless grade medicinal pill can have different effects for different people. In fact, the difference might even be like the difference between heaven and earth. Some people who consume an endless grade medicinal pill will only be able to expand their inner world by 5,000 kilometers, while others will be able to expand it by 500 million kilometers. The specific effect of a pill is related to many factors. Before taking a pill, no one will know what kind of effect it will have. Similarly, an unbounded grade battle weapon can theoretically unleash limitless power. The higher the compatibility between the martial cultivator and the battle weapon, the more power they can unleash. In the Beyond Heaven world, as long as you have an unbounded grade battle weapon, you'll have the ability to fight above your level. The Death Emissary went on, then looked at Long Yu and chuckled. Do you think it's too easy for you to fight above your level? If you run into a genius with an unbounded weapon in outer space, you'll have to be careful. They might be able to kill you with a single move. Unbounded level. Long Yu nodded, a very serious expression on his face. Now he knew that above the Archean grade was the unbounded grade. Whether it was medicinal pills, battle weapons, or martial techniques, they were all ranked in the same way. An unbounded martial technique is even harder to come by. Even the exalted Jiryo Dragon Emperor only managed to comprehend one move. As for the might of an unbounded martial technique, there's no point in explaining it to you right now. Take a look at this medicinal pill. The Death Emissary sent the power of the divine characters of death wrapping around the unbounded medicinal pill. This medicinal pill is a supreme grade unbounded medicinal pill. However, that doesn't mean that it will be more effective than the other 3 unbounded supreme grade medicinal pills. Like I just said, the effects of an endless grade medicinal pill are completely random. No one can predict or control it. Of course, this supreme grade unbounded medicinal pill has another special effect. After consuming it, it will increase your base cultivation speed by leaps and bounds for a year. That's why it's called the unbounded fountainhead. The Death Emissary handed the supreme grade unbounded medicinal pill to Long Yu. Of course, I can't say for sure how much this pill will increase your base cultivation speed. As for the exact effect, it will depend on your luck. As for these 3, they're all supreme grade prime grade medicinal pills. Each one has a different special effect. The Death Envoy then introduced the 98 elixirs to Long Yu. Because these elixirs were treasures that had been stored by the sufferers for many years, even if they were placed in the Beyond Heaven world, their appearance would cause a reign of terror. As Long Yu listened to the Death Emissary's introduction, he noticed that each of the 98 medicinal pills had their own special effect. There were 98 medicinal pills in total, and each one of them would attract the attention of the 5 emperors in the Shen Wu world. Just introducing these medicinal pills took the Death Emissary almost 2 hours. After Long Yu listened to the Death Envoy's introduction, it took him a long time to recover. He couldn't help but say, these pills all have different kinds of effects. According to Senior Envoy, if I were to consume all of these pills, wouldn't I be able to fuse with all 8 attributes of divine runes? And improve my harmonization with all 8 elemental divine characters to at least the 5th level? That's right. The Death Emissary answered without hesitation. That's heaven-defying. Long Yu couldn't help but exclaim in shock. He was already surprised when he saw the Dragon Returning Empire's powerhouse display the power of the 4 elemental divine characters, but he didn't think that some of the 98 medicinal pills in front of him would have such heaven-defying effects. There were a total of 38 pills that could increase one's compatibility with darkness attribute divine runes. Many of them could increase one's compatibility with darkness attribute divine runes. This allowed Long Yu to relax. With these pills, he would definitely be able to reach the 9th level of compatibility with darkness attribute divine runes and begin to cultivate powerful divine formations. These medicinal pills can be considered priceless treasures in Shenwu world. I'm sure you don't want to attract too much attention. The Death Emissary cackled. If you consume them in the outside world, an endless level medicinal pill will cause a series of heavenly phenomena it would be impossible for others not to notice. However, if you choose to consume them in the Death Ancient Palace, this emissary can help you conceal it from other emperors. Then I'll have to trouble Senior Emissary, Long Yu eagerly said. It was rare for the emissary to be so proactive, so how could he not be willing? No trouble at all, this emissary only needs one more divine rune source stone. The Death Emissary chuckled. Obviously, he had already sensed the other 3 space divine rune source stones in Long Yu's Nether Void Dragon Blade. As for the other 2 divine rune source stones, they will naturally belong to this emissary. In exchange, this emissary will teach you a divine formation technique, as well as create the conditions for you to cultivate the Death Realm. Hearing the Death Emissary's words, Long Yu's face darkened. Senior Emissary, aren't you being too greedy? Shouldn't you be helping me with the cultivation of the Death Realm body refining technique? Now you're even charging me for it, isn't that a bit too much? The first 2 levels of the Death Realm don't consume much energy for this emissary, so I can use them casually. However, in order to improve your Death Realm, this emissary will need to consume a lot of energy. Without the divine rune source stones to replenish my energy, this emissary will suffer a great loss. As your senior, this emissary naturally won't be at a disadvantage. The Death Emissary's tone didn't change as he spoke indifferently. The thickness of his skin had completely refreshed Long Yu's understanding. Forget it, Long Yu shook his head. The Death Emissary was currently in a completely shameless state. Arguing with the Death Emissary obviously wouldn't bring him any benefit. Since the Death Emissary wanted it, then he would give it to him. In any case, if the Death Emissary's recovery went smoothly, there wouldn't be any harm to Long Yu. To Long Yu, the divine rune source stones weren't too useful. They could only be used to comprehend the power of source-level divine runes. Now that Long Yu had comprehended enough divine runes, he didn't need to comprehend more source-level divine runes. Unless Long Yu completely mastered all the divine runes he had comprehended, only then would he consider comprehending the power of other divine runes. Otherwise, if he didn't master all of them, it wouldn't be of much help to his combat prowess. Moreover, the Death Emissary had agreed to teach Long Yu a divine formation technique to Long Yu. In Shenwu world, this was an absolutely priceless treasure. Using the divine rune source stones to exchange for it, to be honest, Long Yu had definitely profited. There's a total of 100 pills. 2 of them are used to recover my spirit and train my Death Realm body forging. 38 pills are related to compatibility with divine runes. After taking them, I'll be able to harmonize with all 8 divine runes, and besides the shadow divine runes, I'll be able to harmonize with all other divine runes to at least level 5. As for the remaining 60 pills, their effects are all different. Long Yu did a rough calculation. There were 60 pills left, and their effects were very comprehensive for a cultivator. Among them, there were 25 pills that contained the source of power for divine ability seed. After taking them, a cultivator's understanding of innate thaumaturgies would increase. According to the Death Emissary's calculations, if Long Yu took all 15 pills, he would be able to raise at least 3 of his thaumaturgies to the Imperial Realm, surpassing the 9th stage of Heaven. After all, these pills were either extreme or extreme grade, or even ancient and immemorial grade pills. Their effects far surpassed any other pill in Shenwu world. The remaining 25 pills were all healing pills, each of which could be described as heaven-defying. With these healing pills, combined with long-used death realm body forging, he would basically be an undying existence in Shen Wu world. The remaining 10 pills all had their own effect. One of them was an immemorial grade pill that could temporarily increase a cultivator's ability to sense the stars in outer space, or even increase their ability to sense the stars. This pill, called Star God Pill, was exactly what Long Yu wanted right now. It had to be known that his current comprehension of the Dubhe Qi drawing realm was just half a step into the transformative realm. If he were to consume this Star God Pill, he might be able to break through in one go and allow the Dubhe Qi drawing realm to officially step into the transformative realm. As for the other 5 medicinal pills, they were all medicinal pills that could be taken during battle. Their effects were similar to the Mirage Ghost Pill, and they could instantly increase Long Yu's strength by several times. However, their characteristics were all different. Different medicinal pills could be taken in different situations, and they could definitely allow Long Yu to instantly reverse the tides of battle. Including the 4 endless grade pills, there were a total of 100 pills. The next one. 5 years will be a year where my strength will greatly increase. Long Yu had already foreseen what kind of changes he would undergo in the next 1.5 years. It was certain that he would be able to advance to the late stage of the King realm. There was only one problem he faced, and that was, should he participate in the strongest King realm competition? Chapter 852. Regarding this question, the Death Envoy gave him a rare suggestion: participate in the strongest King realm competition. As for the reason, the Death Envoy hasn't been idle during this period of time. He's heard quite a bit of information, one of which is that the first-place winner of the strongest King realm competition will receive a chance to compete with a genius from beyond sky. Hearing this information from the Death Envoy, Long Yu was shocked. Genius from beyond sky. Aside from Consort Yu, Long Yu has never seen any other cultivators from beyond sky world. But now, if he can obtain first place in the strongest King realm competition, he'll receive a chance to compete with a genius from beyond sky. Doesn't that mean the Alliance of 5 Emperors has always been in contact with beyond sky world? This also explains why the Sacred Tower's construction was reinforced with many divine rune crystals. The Alliance of 5 Emperors must have obtained the relevant method from beyond sky world. What kind of form does this chance take? Long Yu couldn't help but ask. To enter one of the 7 great forbidden areas of Shen Wu world, which is one of Sir Jiyo Dragon Emperor's innate thaumaturgy, and created a pillar, the Death Envoy laughed cruelly. This envoy knows that pillar is also the pillar of Sir Jiyo Dragon Emperor's power. It contains an endless amount of inner world power. Cultivators who enter it have a chance to strengthen their inner world. But this forbidden area has always been controlled by people from beyond Sky World. Shen Wu World's native cultivators are only allowed to enter, because only people from beyond Sky have the method to enter the forbidden area. So that's how it is. Long Yu felt a bit emotional. He didn't think that there would be such a place in Shen Wu World. Among the 7 great forbidden areas, there's one that can strengthen a cultivator's inner world. It must be very beneficial to cultivators. If that's the case, then I can't let go of this chance, the chance to become stronger, as well as the chance to interact with cultivators from beyond Sky World. Long Yu, on the other hand, was filled with fighting spirit. He will eventually have to leave Shen Wu World, and outer space is his final stage, so he definitely can't miss this chance. By this point, Long Yu had already sorted out the 100 precious medicinal pills he had acquired. 38 were for improving divine symbol compatibility, 25 were for improving divine ability understanding, 25 were for healing, 5 were for fighting, 1 was for the Star God Pill, 2 were for restoring psychic power, and 4 were for endless grade medicinal pills. In total, there were 100. Consuming these medicinal pills would produce strange phenomena in heaven and earth. Only the emissary of death could conceal it. Otherwise, everyone in the vicinity of the holy city of the 5 emperors would know about it. Of course, this was not what Long Yu wanted to see, so it was necessary for the death messenger to cover it up. However, Long Yu didn't consume the medicinal pills right away. Before he did, there were a few things that he wanted the death messenger to introduce to him, which were the other things he obtained from the remains of the sufferer's small world. A 30-foot-long bone of an ancient dragon elephant. Long Yu didn't need to ask too much. He already knew what it was for. Aside from that, what Long Yu was curious about were the 4 different colored stone eggs, as well as the things stored in the 12 black metal boxes. Long Yu took out the 4 stone eggs, which were respectively red, blue, black, and white, then asked the death messenger, "Senior messenger, do you know what these are?" Seeing the 4 stone eggs, the death messenger was a bit surprised. "You obtained these from the remains of the sufferer's small world? You're lucky, these things are worth a lot. I vaguely remember that before the final cataclysm, His Excellency Geo Dragon Emperor obtained 7 rainbow stone eggs and gave them to the sufferer to concoct pills. These should be 4 of them, right? They are materials for making unbounded fighters or medicinal pills. Even in outer space, they're extremely rare and extremely valuable. So they're materials for concocting pills and refining pills. Although they're for making unbounded fighters or medicinal pills, I don't have much use for them now." Long Yu was a bit disappointed. Be content. Even His Excellency Geo Dragon Emperor only obtained these things once. Just because he doesn't need them now doesn't mean he won't need them in the future. The death messenger couldn't help but look down on Long Yu. Not being content with good things, this kid was too shameless. You're right. What about these?" Long Yu laughed mischievously. Then, he took out 12 pitch-black metal boxes and placed them on the floor of the hall, forming a circle around himself. "These are the storage cabinets of the sufferer. Even I can't break through their divine will shield to see what's inside. If you want to know what's inside, you'll have to open them." The death envoy took a look, then explained. "Moreover, the method of opening must be correct, otherwise this storage cabinet will explode. Fortunately, you did not rashly open it. This envoy will teach you a small technique. You can use this small technique to open it." "All right." Long Yu nodded. At the same time, he rejoiced. If he had tried to open these storage cabinets in the wreckage of the pocket world, these things would have already self-destructed. It was fine if the items were gone, but he was afraid that the power of the self-destruction would be so great that he would be blown to death. After learning the technique that the death messenger taught him, Long Yu opened the 12 storage cabinets one by one. It felt like he was opening 12 treasure chests. He didn't know what was inside the chests, but he knew that the things inside were definitely extraordinary. With anticipation, Long Yu opened the first pitch-black metal box. A golden light flashed, illuminating the entire ancient Azura palace like it was daytime. A terrifying aura spread out from the pitch-black metal box. An endless warrior. When the golden light shone out, the death messenger was shocked. He didn't expect Long Yu's luck to be so good. The first storage cabinet he opened already had an endless warrior. To the 9 Abyss Dragon Emperor, an unending grade weapon was extremely rare. As for the afflicted one, he probably only had 1 unending grade weapon on him. It's a medicine cauldron. Long Yu's eyes lit up. He looked into the pitch-black metal box and saw a medicine cauldron that glowed with golden light. 2 ancient characters were engraved on its surface. Embittered Sea. Embittered Sea Cauldron? How is that possible? The death messenger was surprised. That's the treasure that the sufferer relies on to survive. Shouldn't it be in the alchemy room? Why is it here? Perhaps he had a premonition that his minor world would be destroyed, so he put it in the storage cabinet. Long Yu guessed. He stared at the embittered sea cauldron and could sense a rich medicinal fragrance wafting out of it. It even surpassed the fragrance of a top-grade endless warrior pill. One could only imagine how many pills this embittered sea cauldron had concocted. An endless realm. Embittered sea cauldron means it has endless possibilities. The death messenger laughed heartily. You're pretty lucky, kid. Simply put, even if you're only strong enough to concoct grand desolate grade pills, as long as you use this cauldron, you can concoct ancient, archean, and even endless warrior pills. Moreover, the more compatible you are with the cauldron, the more likely it is that you can concoct high-quality pills. When Long Yu heard the Death Envoy's words, he thought of a candidate. Now the Alchemy Hall of the Heavenly Mandate Manor was led by Ziling, but in the entire Alchemy Hall, Liao Lele was the most talented one. In addition to the people of the Alchemy Hall, Fengyu Xian, the commander of the Death Legion, was also proficient in alchemy. However, Long Yu would not let Fengyu Xian specialize in alchemy. It would be a waste of her talent in martial arts. It seems that I have to give this embittered sea cauldron to Liao Lele. Long Yu smiled slightly. Liao Lele's current level of martial arts was not very high. She was only in the divine realm, and could only concoct heaven-grade pills. However, if she used this embittered sea cauldron, it was absolutely possible for her to concoct grand desolate grade or even ancient grade pills. The success rate would not be very high, but at least there was a possibility. As for Long Yu himself, of course, he did not have that much time to concoct pills. If he wanted to be compatible with the embittered sea cauldron, he would need to concoct the pills for months and years. How could Long Yu have that much time? He knew how to concoct pills, but he was not proficient in it and did not have much experience. Thinking that even the Jiryo Dragon Emperor had imprisoned a sufferer to concoct pills for Long Yu knew that it was not a big deal if an expert did not know how to concoct pills. As long as there was someone around him who could concoct pills, it would be fine. Therefore, Long Yu almost immediately decided to give the embittered sea cauldron to Liao Lele and let her become the chief alchemist by his side. Then, Long Yu used a small technique to open the second pitch-black metal storage cabinet and found that there was a grayish-black jade slip placed in it. I have never seen such a jade slip. Long Yu frowned slightly and did not touch the jade slip for the time being. He was afraid that there would be some danger. After all, the jade slip was grayish-black, which was too strange. It should be the alchemy notes of the sufferers. The common jade slips of the sufferers are all grayish-black. The Death Envoy said. Well, then I will also give it to Liao Lele. Long Yu nodded and wanted to check what was recorded in the jade slip, but found that his detection was blocked. He could not help but be a little surprised. The jade slip can also block people's detection? If you want to detect the common jade slips of the sufferers, you must practice the common alchemy techniques of the sufferers. The Death Envoy laughed and said, If you give this envoy another divine rune source stone, this envoy can teach you the common alchemy techniques of the sufferers. Hearing this, Long Yu did not pay attention to him and directly opened the third pitch-black metal storage cabinet. This time, there was a normal white jade slip hidden in it. He only probed it for a moment and was delighted. The common alchemy techniques of the sufferers. Long Yu laughed. Senior Envoy, it seems that I do not need to use the divine rune source stone to exchange with you. This jade slip records the common alchemy techniques. Chapter 853. Long Yu opened 3 more storage cabinets, and the items inside were all related to alchemy. They were not helpful for his own combat ability, but they were extremely important for his future development. If Liao Lele could be compatible with the Misery Cauldron, then it would be much easier for everyone in the Heavenly Mandate Manor to obtain elixirs than other forces. There must be only one unending level alchemy cauldron in the entire divine battle world. This made Long Yu even more excited about the items in the next 9 cabinet. If there was an unending level weapon that could be used in battle, then Long Yu would be overjoyed. Unfortunately, as he opened the cabinets one by one, he found that the items inside were not suitable for him. There were 3 weapons, and all of them were ancient level. However, they were neither of the supreme level nor of the supreme level. They were only upper-level ancient level. A combat weapon of this level, if taken to Shun Wu world, would definitely cause a bloodbath. Unfortunately, to Long Yu himself, it's useless, its rank is still too low. 3 upper-level ancient level weapons, 1 Sufferer's Flute, 1 Divine Halberd of Berserker, and 1 Misery Lantern. They are useless to me, but if I give them to the people in the heavenly mandate manner, their combat ability will undoubtedly increase, Long Yu thought to himself. He handed the Misery Lantern to the Envoy of Death and said, "Senior Envoy, please give this Misery Lantern to Shi Yengu. It should be suitable for her." "No problem. You have a good eye. The Misery Lantern can increase the power of all kinds of formations. This way, it will make the Dead Man binding formation more effective." The Envoy of Death nodded. As for the Divine Halberd of Berserker, Feng Xiaofei seems to have comprehended the divine text of Berserker. "I will give it to him. And the Sufferer's Flute, it is a good match for Fengyu Xian. I heard that she has 1 or 2 innate techniques related to music." Long Yu quickly decided on the owners of the 2 upper-level ancient level weapons in his mind. Even for the other Emperor Realm direct disciples, it would be extremely difficult for them to obtain a high-ranked ancient combat weapon. It was almost impossible. However, Long Yu had directly obtained 3 high-ranked ancient combat weapons, and he wanted to give them away. Most importantly, these combat weapons were useless to him, so he might as well give them to his own people to increase their strength. As for the other 6 cabinets, they were all filled with jade slips, all of which contained information on the concocting methods and ingredients for Archean and unbounded medicinal pills. Of course, they weren't very useful to Long Yu, so he decided to give them to Liao Lele. If the powers beyond the heavens knew that Long Yu had so easily acquired 6 Archean and unbounded medicinal pill formulas, and then casually handed them over to an alchemist in the Transcendent Arcana secret realm, they would probably wish they were dead. Archean and unbounded medicinal pill formulas could fetch exorbitant prices in the void beyond the heavens. Of course, in the divine battle world, these kinds of medicinal pill formulas weren't very useful, because even if one had the medicinal pill formulas, no one would be able to gather all the ingredients to concoct them. All 12 cabinets were opened, but there was nothing useful to Long Yu. He was quite disappointed, but he quickly adjusted his mood. He was already very lucky to be able to obtain an unbounded medicinal cauldron of the Sea of Bitterness. There's no time to lose. I need to go back and call Liao Lele over. I need her to cultivate as fast as possible, and also to fuse with the cauldron of the Sea of Bitterness as soon as possible. Long Yu made up his mind. He had now organized all the things he had obtained from the small world of the Sufferers, and the next step was to start his cultivation plan. Before that, he had to give the cauldron of the Sea of Bitterness to Liao Lele, and have her come to the holy city of the 5 emperors to cultivate. That way, she would be able to bring out the full potential of the cauldron of the Sea of Bitterness. Of course, the Envoy of Death wouldn't interfere with Long Yu's decision. Then, the next time you come here, it will be time for you to take these medicinal pills and increase your strength. At the same time, you can also cultivate your Death Realm body refinement. After saying that, the Envoy of Death disappeared without a trace. Long Yu didn't mind. He disguised himself as a gust of wind and directly left the Azura ancient palace, preparing to return to the holy city of the 5 emperors and teleport to the North Snow Empire to call Liao Lele and the others over. The holy city of the 5 emperors. As Long Yu disguised himself as a gust of wind, no one was able to detect his presence. He silently entered the city, but just happened to see 4 acquaintances walking on the street, and also happened to run into some trouble. The 4 acquaintances were none other than Shu Chan and the others who had come to the holy city of the 5 emperors with Shi Yengu. Shu Chan, Dugu Yijian, Feng Xiaofei, and Feng Haofeng were strolling around the trading plaza in the holy city of the Five Emperors. They seemed to have taken a fancy to something, but another group of people came over and tried to snatch it away. This shadow-long sword combat weapon was obviously taken by us first, and we even negotiated the price. How could you sell it to others? Shu Quan and the others were filled with righteous indignation. Feng Xiaofei stared angrily at a middle-aged woman in the Middle Emperor realm and 7 young martial cultivators beside her. The middle-aged woman in the Middle Emperor realm was the owner of the stall. The 7 young martial cultivators were dressed in the same green robes, and they all had long swords hanging from their waist. It was obvious that they were from a sword sect. The middle-aged woman in the Middle Emperor realm wore a disdainful expression when she heard Feng Xiaofei's words. Of course, the highest bidder wins. This shadow-long sword combat weapon is an upper desolate grade combat weapon. You're only willing to pay 10,000 divine coins for it, but the geniuses of the Watermoon Sword sect are willing to pay 11,000 divine coins for it. It's only natural that it belongs to them. The middle-aged woman sized up Shu Quan and the others, but there was something she didn't say. Look at you, there's only one early king realm cultivator in your group, and the rest are only in the divine ability secret realm. What face do you have to compete with the geniuses of the Watermoon Sword sect? Although she didn't say it out loud, the disdain and contempt she had for Shu Quan and the others could be seen in her eyes. What a bunch of flies! How troublesome! Among the 7 young martial cultivators, the young man with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes had an indifferent expression. When he heard Feng Xiaofei's question, he unsheathed his sword and pointed at Feng Xiaofei. This shadow sword is mine. If you're not satisfied, why don't we fight? This person was already a late king realm cultivator, but he was challenging Feng Xiaofei, who only had 4 divine ability secret realm cultivation. It was obvious that he was trying to bully Feng Xiaofei. However, this world was a place where the strong preyed on the weak, and the strong were revered. Such situations were common in the holy city of the 5 emperors. All right, let's fight then. Before Feng Xiaofei could speak, Shu Quan pulled him behind her. This beautiful princess stood in front of the crowd, puffed out her chest and looked at the Watermoon Sword sect youth with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. If you defeat me, this long sword is yours. If you lose, you have to give up this long sword. How about it? This shadow-long sword was a great desolate level high-grade combat weapon. It was perfect for Duguijian. If he missed this chance, it would be hard to find another one. Therefore, Shu Quan and the others were not willing to give up. In fact, they had searched many places, but still couldn't find a great desolate level high-grade combat weapon that matched with shadow attribute divine runes. You! A green-robed young man next to her smiled contemptuously and sized Shu Quan up. A mere early-stage king realm cultivator dares to challenge our Shueiyue Sword sect's senior brother Izisher? You're really courting death. Of course, if you say that you want to challenge our senior brother Izisher in bed, I believe that senior brother Izisher will be willing to show mercy. This man was a mid-king realm warrior. The senior brother Izisher he mentioned was obviously the late king realm genius with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. Among the 7 people from the Shueiyue Sword sect, Izisher was not the strongest, but he was the youngest. Obviously, his talent in martial arts was quite outstanding. Hearing what the others said, a smile appeared on Izisher's face. That's right. If you want to have a match with me in bed, I will gladly accept. So what if I give you this shadow-long sword? The faces of Shu Quan and the other 3 instantly darkened. How could these people from the Shueiyue Sword sect be so shameless? The conflict here quickly attracted a lot of onlookers who pointed at them. Obviously, Izisher of the Shueiyue Sword sect was a little famous in the holy city of the 5 emperors. It's the people from the Shueiyue Sword sect, one of the 6 sects and 10 countries. I didn't expect to see them here. Someone actually dares to provoke the people from the Shueiyue Sword sect? That's Izisher. He is one of the most talented experts in the younger generation of the Shueihue sword sect. He can be ranked in the top 100 of the younger generation of the Shueihue sword sect. That's right. It is said that next month, Izishir will participate in the assessment of the 5 emperors. Maybe he can fight for a place to enter the illusion world of the 5 emperors. Do you know who the other 4 people are? A mere early King Realm warrior with 3 weaklings in the Mystery Realm dares to provoke Izishir. He must be tired of living. I think that girl is deliberately trying to attract Izishir's attention. We, the 5 emperors, often see girls like her in the holy city of the 5 emperors. If she can get on Izishir's good side, she may get a lot of cultivation resources as a reward. The onlookers watched the scene from afar and pointed at them. No one was optimistic about Shu Chan and the other 3, and no one would come forward to help them. Although they were in the right in this matter, in this world, strength was everything. It was impossible to rely on reason alone. Listening to the discussion of others and the filthy words of the people from the Shueihue sword sect, Shu Chan's pretty face turned cold. She said coldly, "Your name is Izishir? So much nonsense. Don't you dare to accept my challenge?" Izishir originally wanted to tease Shu Chan more. Maybe he could play with this girl today. However, after hearing Shu Chan's provocation, he couldn't be indifferent. "Little girl, as you wish," Izishir said faintly and directly agreed to Shu Chan's challenge. Long Yu watched quietly from the side. He was not in a hurry to make a move. Shu Chan was only at the early king realm. Even if she lost to Izishir, there was no shame. It just so happened that Long Yu wanted to see how strong Shu Chan was now. Maybe she could really deal with Izishir. He had not seen Shu Chan fight before when she stepped into the king realm. Chapter 854. Shu Chan, who was in the early stage of the king realm, was facing Izishir, who was in the late stage of the king realm. Both parties engaged in a duel at the trading plaza of the sacred city of 5 emperors, which attracted hundreds of spectators from afar. This kind of duel was not very attractive to them, but they could relax a little in the midst of their nervousness. No one thought that Shu Chan could be a match for Izishir, the genius of the Watermoon sword sect. No one even knew who Shu Chan was. In their opinion, this woman was just a female cultivator who wanted to take the opportunity to get close to Izishir. There were at least 80,000 female cultivators like this in the holy city of the 5 emperors. This woman definitely can't take one move from Izishir. After all, the gap between their martial arts realms is too big. You don't understand Izishir at all. This guy is famous for being cruel. No matter what advantage he has, he will not defeat his opponent in one move. He will use different methods to torture his opponent. That's right. Fighting with Izishir will be this woman's biggest mistake. This way, not only will she not get Izishir's appreciation, she will also lose face. Rumor has it that there was a female cultivator who angered Izishir. As a result, Izishir tore her clothes to shreds in front of everyone. Everyone in the city admired her white body. TSK. Everyone was discussing, but it did not affect Shu Chan's mood at all. Since she proposed the battle, she was naturally not without confidence. She had never heard of Izishir, but she knew that the Watermoon Sword sect was one of the 6 sects and 10 countries in the holy city of the 5 emperors. The geniuses from the Watermoon Sword sect were definitely very strong. What's more, Izishir was ranked in the top 100 among the younger generation of the Watermoon Sword sect. His strength was even more unfathomable. With the long sword in his hand, Izishir wore a smile on his face. His eyebrows were straight like swords, and his eyes were bright like stars. He was extremely charismatic. He took a step forward and faced off against Shu Chan. As the saying goes, a good man does not fight with a woman. But since you took the initiative to challenge me, I shall grant you your wish. I will let you have 3 moves first. Consider it a chance for you and to commend your courage. Shu Chan's expression did not change. She indifferently lifted her hand and azure divine runes rapidly condensed in her palm, condensing into a jet-black beam of light that instantly wrapped around Easyshire. This move was extremely fast, so fast that even Easyshire could not react in time. Innate skill, Azura grip. Long Yu watched from the side and he nodded in his heart. He didn't think that after such a long time, Shu Chan would be able to cultivate this innate skill into an advanced level skill. After he entered the illusion world of the 5 emperors, he managed to cultivate 3 advanced level skills. But now, Shu Chan already had at least 2 advanced level skills. Azura grip, after the innate skill became an advanced level skill, its speed was extremely fast. It was almost as fast as the speed of light. In an instant, it wrapped around Easyshire. Then, Shu Chan cast another innate skill without hesitation. It was also an advanced level skill, Azura Absolute Light. An Azura Divine rune condensed into a beam of light that arrived less than half a breath's time from the Azura's grasp. Easyshire was a bit surprised that she had actually managed to trap him, but before he could react, he was struck by the Azura's absolute light. A tyrannical strength erupted, sending Easyshire tumbling backwards. Dang dang dang! Easyshire immediately retreated 40 to 50 steps back, and the surrounding martial cultivators behind him quickly retreated as well, giving him a space to fight. Haha, impressive! A mere early-stage king-level cultivator has mastered 2 advanced-level skills. What a surprise! Easyshire laughed and said, "One more, what else can you do?" As the Azura Divine runes faded away, Shu Chan's expression changed. Even Duguijian, Feng Xiaofei, and Feng Haofeng's expressions changed. The 2 attacks just now could be said to be Shu Chan's strongest attacks. Shu Chan had used these attacks to defeat a mid-stage king-level cultivator. But against Easyshire, who was a late-stage king-level cultivator, these 2 attacks were far from enough. Although Easyshire was hit by the 2 attacks, he did not suffer much damage. His mortal body was already terrifyingly tough. Even if he just stood there and let Shu Chan attack him, he would not suffer any damage. Plate, kill him! In the next second, Shu Chan gritted her teeth and took out a great desolate grade mid-rank combat weapon. It was the primordial Azura compass. But this time, the primordial Azura compass was completely different from the one Long Yu had seen before. Perfect synchronization. Shu Chan and the primordial Azura compass have reached the highest level. Long Yu, who was watching the battle from the side, was stunned. This scene was too shocking. The desolate Azura compass seemed to have a mind of its own as it rapidly flew towards Easyshire, launching an attack. Only then did Long Yu remember that this desolate Azura compass was a battle weapon that Shu Chan had obtained since she was a child. After 10 years of cooperation, she had finally reached an unparalleled level of compatibility with this battle weapon. In order to improve the synchronization with a combat weapon, not only did it require time, but it also required special enlightenment at a special moment. Perfect synchronization with the primordial Azura compass, even if it was only a great desolate grade mid-rank combat weapon, its power was still greater than ordinary high-rank combat weapons, such as the longsword in Easyshire's hand. Countless pitch-black Azura chains extended out from the primordial Azura compass, coiling around Easyshire's body. It was obvious that the chains were trying to lock Easyshire up. This was Shu Chan's unparalleled fusion skill with the primordial Azura compass. Even Easyshire felt a strong sense of threat from these black Azura chains. Perfect synchronization with a combat weapon, I've underestimated you. Easyshire's expression changed. He no longer cared about giving Shu Chan 3 attacks. The longsword in his hand danced in the air, displaying the high desolate grade sword skill of the Water Moon Sword sect. The translucent Water Moon Sword chi flew in all directions, blocking off the pitch-black Azura chains. However, Even though it was a high-ranked Great Desolate Realm sword art combined with a high-ranked Great Desolate Realm combat weapon, it still couldn't completely repel the primordial Azura compass. It could only barely defend itself. This scene fell into the eyes of the surrounding crowd, causing a wave of hissing. This Easy doesn't live up to his name. Just now, that girl easily knocked him back 40 to 50 steps with just 2 attacks, and now he's having trouble dealing with a mere combat weapon, too weak. What do you know? That girl obviously has some real skills, but there's still a huge gap between her and Easy. Can't you see that Easy is just toying with her? Toying with her? I remember that Easy said that he would give his opponent 3 attacks. But now? When the 3rd attack comes, he actually attacked without caring about what he said. What a thick skin he has. Many people were dissatisfied with Easy. These discussions enraged Easy. The longsword in his hand finally exploded. Water Moon Sword's wrath, shatter the sky, pierce the rainbow. 10 million rays of sword energy instantly erupted, scattering in all directions. In an instant, the black Azura chains of the desolate Azura compass were completely shattered. Then, these 10 million rays of sword energy shot towards Shu Chan, condensing into a giant sword in midair. Divine Power, Shadow Butterfly. When Shu Chan saw this, she immediately used her evasion technique, Dark Shadow Butterfly Transformation. Her entire body turned into a pitch-black butterfly and tore through the void. In the next moment, she appeared hundreds of feet away. The giant Water Moon Sword's chi instantly bombarded the hard ground of the trading plaza, but it didn't hit Shu Chan. He had used a technique to seal the space, but Shu Chan still managed to escape. This result made Easy even angrier. How could this girl, who was merely at the early stage of the King Realm, have so many tricks up her sleeves? Water Moon Sword's Wrath. It's actually Water Moon Sword's Wrath. It's said that this is an upper desolation level martial skill that can only be used when one has reached the transcendent realm. In an instant, a terrifying power can be unleashed. Not to mention an early stage of the King Realm, even a late stage of the King Realm would be in great trouble. But that girl dodged it so easily. What kind of trick is that? Just now, I felt a strong power to seal the space. The space around that girl must have been sealed. Some divine powers can penetrate the seal of space. Obviously, this girl has such a trick. It's amazing. Unfortunately, she's only at the early stage of the King Realm. She's going to lose this time. Just as most people had guessed, Easy used Water Moon Sword's Wrath again after his attack failed. Even if it consumed a lot of energy, this move could definitely kill his opponent. Shu Chan was only at the early stage of the King Realm. In the face of the same move, she couldn't use the Shadow Butterfly again in a short period of time. At this moment, she was probably going to die. Water Moon Sword's Wrath broke the sky, but this time, it didn't condense into a giant sword. Instead, it attacked Shu Chan from all directions, and it even sealed all her vitality. Shu Chan's eyes were extremely calm. But under such circumstances, she really couldn't resist it. Defensive methods would definitely not be able to withstand it. Only the Shadow Butterfly could. However, she wasn't at the intermediate stage of the King Realm, so she couldn't use the same divine powers and martial skills continuously in a short period of time. I admit defeat. Shu Chan stood on the spot and said calmly. The opponent was much stronger than her, so there was nothing shameful about admitting defeat. But hearing this, Easy, who was attacking, smiled sinisterly. He heard Shu Chan's admit defeat, but pretended not to hear it. He raised his hand and countless sword chi surged towards Shu Chan, wanting to kill her on the spot. Such an action instantly attracted a burst of hissing from the crowd. This Easy was really abnormal. His opponent admitted defeat and still insisted on killing her. Wasn't he too shameless? In the holy city of the 5 emperors, arranged battles often happened, but there weren't many deaths. After all, it was the holy city of the 5 emperors, so everyone would be restrained. But Izishur, with his status, wanted to kill Shu Chan at all costs. Since it was an arranged battle, so what if he killed her? The alliance of 5 emperors wouldn't go to the extent of finding trouble with Water Moon's sword sect for a mere early-stage King Realm female cultivator. Chapter 855. Long Yu restrained himself and didn't attack. Because as soon as Qin Yashuang and Zi Su appeared, a white gale blew into the battlefield, and it actually condensed into a wall of wind that protected Shu Chan at the center. The Water Moon Sword Fury's sword energy arrived, but it was blocked by the wind wall. It couldn't move forward at all. Who dares to ruin my plans? Izishur's expression changed slightly. When he saw that it was Qin Yashuang and Zi Su, he said darkly, "So it's 2 King Realm intermediate stage women. You two broke someone else's battle, but were you prepared to face me?" In the 5 Emperors' holy city, martial cultivators could arrange a duel. But if the duel was ruined, the duelist could issue an unconditional challenge to the person who ruined it. The person who ruined it didn't have the right to refuse. Therefore, when Izishur saw Qin Yashuang and Zi Su, he immediately wanted to attack them. After all, they were only at the middle stage of the King stage. Although they had blocked his Aquaselenic Sword Fury, it didn't mean that they could defeat Izishur. Even if it was 1 against 2, Izishur wasn't afraid at all. Since Qin Yashuang and Zi Su appeared, they were definitely prepared. Qin Yashuang snorted coldly. A dignified late-stage King Realm expert actually bullied a weak girl in public. What a disgrace. Zi Su, let's go. Zi Su nodded. She raised her hand and a white storm swept out, enveloping her and Qin Yashuang. The surrounding onlookers became even more interested, and there were even many people who recognized them. Weren't these 2 girls the ones who were related to Long Yu? These 2 girls were originally from the Qin family. They were supposed to be married to 9 Sons sex genius, Lan Xian. But 4 months ago, Lan Xian lost to Long Yu in the illusion realm of the 5 emperors. They're actually Long Yu's people. Does that mean the girl who was bullied by Izishur is related to Long Yu? Who knows? However, that brat Long Yu hasn't appeared for a long time. Although he has become the direct disciple of the Scarlet Emperor, he should be working hard in his cultivation right now. He might not appear here to help. That's right. Long Yu is a genius, but his martial realm is too low. He's definitely trying his best to increase his martial realm. Why would he appear here? These 2 girls are in danger. If they are killed in this duel, even the 5 emperors themselves don't have the right to punish Izishur. When Qin Yashuang and Zi Su fought against Izishur, the surrounding people became even more excited. More and more martial cultivators gathered around, including many members of the major factions in the 5 Emperors' sacred city, such as the young genius disciples of the 9 Sons sect. There were also a few people who came to observe the battle. The genius of 9 Sons sect, Lan Xian, did not choose to join the alliance of 5 emperors after the illusion realm battle of the 5 emperors. Instead, he chose to stay in 9 Sons sect. He had already broken through to the early stage of the emperor realm. At this moment, Lan Xian was leading a group of 9 Sons sect disciples to observe the situation of the battle. Senior brother Lan, I didn't expect it to be those 2B** cheese. It's a surprise to see them here. It looks like they're going to teach Izishur a lesson. Those 2B** cheese actually joined Long Yu's side. They really don't respect senior brother Lan. Now that Long Yu isn't here, they still dare to be arrogant. They're asking for death, the juniors said as they tried to please Lan Xian. Lan Xian was wearing a blue robe. He looked at the battlefield with a hint of delight. Not bad. Those 2 girls really don't know what's good for them. They're actually going against Izishur. Although Izishur isn't a genius expert, he's already an extremely powerful existence to those 2 girls. They want to defeat Izishur? In their dreams. Following Lan Xian's words, the three of them finally started fighting. Qin Yishuang and Zi Su had a white storm swirling around them. It had strong defensive abilities and decent offensive abilities. It could also increase the two women's speed. This was one of Zi Su's innate techniques. She had already comprehended it to a high-level technique, White Snow Wind. White Snow Wind could be used on anyone. After using it, there would be a white storm revolving around them. It would increase their speed and also provide a certain amount of offensive and defensive abilities. Qin Yashuang and Zi Su were enveloped by the white snow wind. Their speed suddenly became extremely fast. In a short distance, it wasn't any slower than teleportation. As for Easyshire, he kept waving the great desolate rank-long sword in his hand. Sword energy flew everywhere. He couldn't even hit Qin Yashuang and Zi Su. This made him quite annoyed. He raised his hand and the wrath of the water moon condensed again. Thousands of transparent sword energy enveloped the battlefield. The two girls couldn't dodge it. Zi Su saw this and raised her hand. She condensed the power of the ice god rune. It formed an ice ball and enveloped Qin Yashuang and herself. The tens of thousands of sword chis bombarded the ice ball, causing it to explode. However, the exploding ice ball also blocked the tens of thousands of sword chis. They actually blocked it? Easyshire's expression changed. The water moon sword was a very powerful technique. In terms of destructive power, it was definitely one of the best techniques he had mastered. However, it was easily blocked by the two girls. Everyone present was shocked by this scene. They didn't think that the two girls could be so strong. They could easily block Easyshire's attack. There was obviously a difference of one martial realm between them. Only Long Yu, with his martial arts secret technique, could see the clues. The defensive ice ball wasn't created by Zi Su alone. After Zi Su condensed the ice ball, Qin Yashuang also injected her power into it. The two girls worked together. The defensive power of the ice ball increased by 4 to 5 times. Because of this, it was able to block Easyshire's attack. If it was a coincidence that they were able to protect Shu-chan at the beginning, then now they were able to block Easyshire. The cooperation between Qin Yashuang and Zi Su showed their true power. This kind of joint attack technique is not bad. The effect is actually so good. Long Yu was a little interested in the two girls. The two girls had been training outside since they were young. They accepted missions, exterminated bandits, killed exotic beasts. They had experienced countless life and death tribulations. If they didn't have special methods, it was hard to believe that they could live until now. Now, Long Yu finally saw the methods of the two girls. The two girls worked together. Even if they were to fight against Easyshire, who was one martial realm higher than them, they wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Easyshire decided to use his origin power. A late-stage King Realm expert had already fused with a true spirit in their inner world. Everyone's origin power was different. As a disciple of the Water Moon Sword sect, Easyshire's true spirit was a sword. Therefore, his origin power could condense into sword energy and attach it to his combat weapon. It could increase the power of his combat weapon by 10 times. Sword origin! Easyshire shouted. The surface of the combat weapon in his hand was covered with a layer of white light. It made the entire sword 3 times bigger. Its power was far greater than before. Again, Water Moon Sword Fury. Easyshire waved the sword in his hand. Thousands of sword energy condensed again. You used the same method 4 times. Do you still think it will work? Even if the power is increased. It's just another method. Qin Yishuang chuckled. She and Zi Su's figures flickered. Taking advantage of the fact that the thousands of sword energy had not completely condensed, they split into 2 directions and attacked Easyshire. Want to sneak attack? Unfortunately, the Water Moon Sword Fury's speed is much faster than you think. Easyshire sneered. He waved the sword in his hand. Thousands of sword energy flew towards the two girls. In the next moment, the two girls' figures became illusory. They instantly became faintly discernible. They didn't use any defensive methods. They just passed by Easy in an instant. The two girls didn't do anything. They just passed by Easy. However, because of this, the thousands of sword cheese target was originally the two ladies, but at this moment, it was directed towards Easy's position. The Water Moon Sword Fury's speed was too fast. However, the two girls were even faster. Their bodies were covered in layers of white wind. In Easy's eyes, they only left afterimages. The thousands of sword energy of the Water Moon Sword Fury didn't have time to change directions. They all bombarded Easy's body. Instantly, Easy's entire body was shrouded by sword energy. The sword energy flew everywhere and raised a large amount of dust. After a breath's time, Easy stumbled out. He coughed nonstop. His clothes were ragged. Instantly, it caused the surrounding people to boo. He was actually injured by his own move. How stupid! Just as Qin Yishuang said, the same move was used 4 times. Could it be that she still couldn't find a way to break it? As long as she had a speed faster than the sword energy, she could easily attract the sword energy to Easy's body. Zisu's high-level technique, White Wind, was simply a godly technique. It could be stacked without limit. It could increase the cultivator's speed without limit. The 3 stacks of White Wind allowed the two girls' speed to completely surpass the Water Moon Sword Fury's thousands of sword energy. Unfortunately, there was a time limit to this stacking. Each stack of White Wind could only last for 10 breaths of time. Even if Zisu could stack it once per breath, she could only stack 10 stacks at most. However, the speed of stacking 10 stacks was already extremely terrifying. Right now, she was stacking herself and Qin Yishuang at the same time. She easily stacked 5 stacks of White Wind. The two girls were as fast as lightning. There weren't many people present who could catch a glimpse of the two girls. Without exception, they were all Emperor Realm experts. Even the 9 Suns sex genius, Lan Shuyan, could barely see the two girls' figures. When Easy broke away from his own attack, he was faced with such a situation, causing his face to turn gloomy. With such a fast speed, he couldn't catch up to the two girls. At the very least, the Water Moon Sword Fury was definitely ineffective. Ice Seal. Ice Split. The two girls had worked together for many years. They had experienced countless battles since they were young. They were already very familiar with each other's fighting style. They used their middle-level techniques at almost the same time. Ice Seal. Ice Split. Chapter 856. Ice Seal. Boundless ice divine characters condensed around the injured Easy, sealing his entire body in a large block of ice. Ice Crack. The large piece of ice immediately cracked open, and a tyrannical tearing force acted on Easy's body, creating many wounds on his body. Even the body of a late-stage King Realm cultivator couldn't withstand the power of these two mid-level divine abilities. The surrounding crowd pointed at the scene. Without a doubt, the explosive power of Qin Yishuang and Zisu had shocked everyone. Most importantly, the combination of these two women's martial skills and divine abilities was simply too seamless. Even people of the same cultivation level wouldn't be able to find any flaws in it. Again. Ice Seal. Ice Crack. The two women worked together, and the ice divine characters swept across the scene. It looked like Easy was going to be frozen and torn apart again. However, at this moment, a cold snort came from the side. Then, a ray of sword light descended from the sky as if it wanted to tear apart the sky and earth. It directly cut the boundless ice divine characters that were attacking Easy. Then, a young man wearing a green robe appeared in front of the two women and blocked Easy's way. To bully a junior brother of my Watermoon sword sect with numbers, the two of you deserve to die 10,000 times over. There was a layer of darkness between the young man's brows as he looked at Qin Yishuang and Zisu. Everyone could feel his murderous intent towards the two women. Mid-stage Emperor Realm. This young man was actually an initial Emperor realm cultivator, and he didn't look very old either. It was obvious that this person was a true genius of the Water-Moon Sword sect. He couldn't be mentioned in the same breath as a half-baked trash like Easysure. There was a huge difference between the Emperor realm and the King realm. It wasn't just the difference in basic strength. An Emperor realm cultivator's inner world would give birth to a spirit, which would allow the inner world to evolve on its own. It could continuously evolve into the sun, moon, stars, rivers, mountains, and rivers and possess greater strength. Although the spirit of an ordinary Emperor realm cultivator's inner world wouldn't be too strong, it still had a spirit. Just this strand of spirit was enough to suppress an ordinary King realm cultivator. It's Zheng En. He's one of the top 10 young geniuses of the Water-Moon Sword sect. It's said that his talent is terrifying. He once stepped into the illusion of the 5 emperors and reached the 15th level. Even Zheng En made a move. But this Easysure is too useless. He said he's a genius of the Water-Moon Sword sect, but he can't even handle 2 ordinary girls. What a disgrace. Now that Zheng En has appeared, these 2 girls can't play anymore. They're not on the same level. 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 I think Zheng En is of the same level. Moreover, it is said that Zheng En is extremely ruthless. It is not the first or second time he has ruthlessly destroyed flowers. It seems that because he was once betrayed by a woman, he is very cruel to women and never shows mercy. The Water-Moon Sword sect's expert, Zheng En's appearance caused Qin Yashuang and Zi Su's expressions to change. The 2 girls still had some confidence in dealing with Easysure, who was in the late stage of the King realm, but they definitely had no chance against Zheng En, who had already stepped into the Emperor realm. As soon as Zheng En appeared, Sword Qi immediately surrounded him, causing his entire aura to be piercingly cold and his killing intent to be extremely strong. Long Yu knew that it was about time for him to appear. However, just as he was about to walk out, he saw an unexpected person walk into the field. Lan Xuyen of the Nine Suns sect. Lan Xuyen's eyes were filled with disdain for Zheng En. He stepped into the arena and said indifferently, "I, Lan Xuyen, will protect these 2 women. You're called Zheng En, right? I've heard of your name. However, compared to me, Lan Xuyen, you're still lacking a lot. You should know this yourself." When Lan Xuyen stood out, everyone present was shocked. Long Yu watched with interest. He wanted to see what Lan Xuyen wanted to do. Qin Yashuang and Zi Su looked at each other. They could see the doubt in each other's eyes. It was obvious that the 2 women didn't know what Lan Xuyen wanted to do. As for the others, they were happy to see Lan Xuyen stand out. One had to know that Lan Xuyen had stepped into the 19th level of the 5 Emperors fantasy world and almost became the personal disciple of the 5 Emperors. His talent was extremely high and definitely surpassed Zheng En's. In addition, Lan Xuyen actually stood out to help Long Yu's people. Could it be that Lan Xuyen and Long Yu were secretly in contact? Zheng En looked at Lan Xuyen and the killing intent in his eyes didn't diminish. This is our Moon Sword sect's matter. If Nine Suns sect wants to get involved, I will report to the sect. As for now, Lan Xuyen, get out of my way. These 2 women dare to attack my sect's genius, Easysure. They must die. Listening to Zheng En's tough words, Lan Xuyen frowned slightly. However, he quickly relaxed his brows. He didn't even turn his head and said to Qin Yashuang and Zi Su condescendingly, "You 2 women, if you are willing to serve me, Lan Xuyen, from now on, I, Lan Xuyen, will protect you even if I have to offend the Moon Sword sect. Otherwise, I will no longer care about this matter." You can also see that Zheng En is very happy to kill women. As soon as he said this, the surrounding people immediately went into an uproar. They finally knew Lan Xuyen's purpose. He actually wanted to poach them. While Long Yu wasn't here, he wanted to poach Long Yu's 2 women. In such a situation, if the two women didn't agree, they would probably be torn into pieces by Jing En from the Moon Sword sect. This scene was really interesting. Originally, it was just a fight for a great desolate level high-rank combat weapon. Now, it had developed into a secret fight between Lan Xian and Long Yu. If the two women really agreed to follow Lan Xian and serve him, then it would obviously make Long Yu lose a lot of face. Writing to Lan Xian like this could be considered as winning against Long Yu. Although Lan Xian had lost to Long Yu once in the illusion world of the Five Emperors, he still didn't admit that he was weaker than Long Yu. He would definitely surpass Long Yu and show the Five Emperors who was the real genius. That was why he'd stepped into the Emperor realm without hesitation and didn't stop at the late stage of the King realm. After all, he'd originally intended to participate in the battle of the strongest King realm a year later while still in the late stage of the King realm. In the strongest King realm competition, Lan Xian was very confident. Now that he had stepped into the Emperor realm, he could only participate in the strongest Emperor realm competition. After the strongest King realm competition, there would be the strongest Emperor realm competition. The two competitions would be held consecutively. Compared to the strongest King realm competition, the strongest Emperor realm competition wasn't as exciting. It was only 7 years since the last strongest Emperor realm competition, so the top 10 strongest Emperor realm competition wouldn't change. Although Lan Xian had stepped into the Emperor realm, with his strength, it would be very difficult for him to enter the top 100 strongest Emperor realm competition, let alone the top 10. Of course, the Emperor realm was the Emperor realm. The top 100 strongest Emperor realm competition was stronger than the first King realm competition. Lan Xian thought to himself. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Everyone looked at Qin Yashuang and Zisu. They wanted to hear what the two women had to say. Would they rely on Lan Xian? Or would they follow Long Yu resolutely, even at the cost of their lives? Zisu looked at Qin Yashuang. Qin Yashuang stared at Lan Xian in front of her. She opened her mouth slightly and 4 words came out clearly. Give me. Scram. Open. These 4 words clearly showed that even if Qin Yashuang died here, she was unwilling to serve Lan Xian. When he heard these 3 words, Lan Xian was so angry that his face turned ashen. He turned around and glared at Qin Yashuang. Smelly woman, you are courting death. No one has ever dared to tell me, Lan Xian, to scram, and you will pay the price. Jing En, give me face. You can seriously injure this woman, but don't kill her. I want her to know the consequences of insulting me, Lan Xian. Lan Xian said to Jing En. Jing En's face was extremely gloomy. He listened to Lan Xian's words and slowly nodded. I can leave her to you. I will give you face, but I don't want your favor. 10,000 Shinbi in exchange for her life. 10,000 Shinbi wasn't something Lan Xian cared about. He immediately nodded and said, no problem. After saying these 3 words, Lan Xian's figure flashed and he directly retreated. Before he left, he threw a disdainful look at Qin Yashuang and Zisu. The meaning behind it was very clear. When Lan Xian left, Qin Yashuang and Zisu immediately became nervous. They were going to face Jing En, the genius of the Water Moon Sword sect, an early-stage Emperor realm expert. All of you die. Jing En's body emitted a murderous aura. The sword aura around his body flew up. In the next moment, he was ready to attack Qin Yashuang and Zisu. However, at this moment, another figure blocked in front of Qin Yashuang and Zisu, causing Jing En's momentum to stagnate. Who? Jing En shouted. He looked over and saw a youth in the middle stage of the King realm. The youth was dressed in black and had an indifferent expression. Even when facing Jing En, the youth didn't panic at all. It's Long Yu. The surrounding people instantly exclaimed. Long Yu actually appeared at this time. Lan Xian, who had just walked away, saw Long Yu's figure. His face instantly became extremely gloomy. There was no other reason but that he actually didn't notice Long Yu hiding at the side. It was really too embarrassing. Logically speaking, his detection ability had already clearly detected the surrounding people. There was no Long Yu among them. Where did this Long Yu jump out from? When they saw Long Yu, Qin Yashuang and Zi Su were instantly delighted. Long Yu actually came back at this time. Even Shu Chan, Du Guijian, Feng Xiaofei, and Feng Haofeng, who had retreated to the side to watch the battle, were all pleasantly surprised. They didn't expect to see Long Yu here. This was the first time the four of them saw Long Yu since they came to the sacred city of the five emperors. Whether it was Qin Yashuang, Zi Su, or Shu Chan, none of them were worried about Long Yu's safety. How could an early-stage Emperor Realm Jing N be a match for Long Yu? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.